Hey, welcome to That Minis Paint Show. It's Reed, your host. Welcome. Glad to have you here. I'm joined by guest painter, Dark Elf Girl. She is on and she's going to be doing some cool stuff and talking paint with us. And we were already having a great chat just before the stream started, just on paint. I think we're going to goob for a long time tonight, it looks like. And on top of that, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you are on Amazon Prime, you have a free Prime gaming subscription, which you can use to subscribe to the Games Tavern and get all of our cool content. So please definitely check that out. Also, check out our Discord, and you can log in anytime and come in and talk to the cool people that are there. Share your miniatures in the miniatures channel and talk paint with us anytime you want as well. So, all right, getting on. Let's say hi to Dark Elf Girl. You want to say hi?
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on.
And there she is. And she is going to be... What are you going to be working on today? You said you had a whole bunch of stuff you were working on. What were you working on today?
Yes, classic Aaron. I have 15 things I'm working on. I think I'm going to paint my Sarah Connor mini. But then I'm also been working on this succubus, only using primary colors and white. So literally just, yeah. Okay. Those two.
Those are going to be amazing. Those are going to be amazing. So I'm getting some Viking music flowing for the audience a little bit here. I see 1-inch heroes in chat. And by the way, if you guys have questions, please type question in all caps. Let us know that you're going to be asking some questions. That helps us spot them in the chats and make sure we get them answered for you. So I'm going to be painting a bunch of zombies tonight because I gotta get these things done. So
yeah, you'd think I've had my zombies for like 6 months and not touched them yet. I was so stoked to paint them and then I didn't. So
oh really?
Yeah. All the plans that you end up having that you, like we were talking about before, shiny new minis come along and they get shelved.
Shiny object syndrome, yeah.
Hobby ADD.
Yeah, I love your term for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is. It really is. Plus, minis go through I call them the ugly phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like where you're just maybe base coated them and they just look like kind of crap. And I often leave them at that phase for a really long time until I get re-inspired. So. Absolutely.
The thing about like when there's one thing when you're staring down like your hero mini versus staring down like 40 zombies that
yeah.
Like, oh, I gotta paint 40 of these guys, it just changes the game right then and there.
Batch painting is not my thing. I don't know how people paint whole 40k AOS armies, honestly. I'm like, no.
For me it's selecting the right primer at the beginning. It really is. Yeah. I select a primer that cuts my work down. The Army Painter makes color match primers that match the paint that it's got the same name for exactly. So that primer becomes my base coat unless there's a good reason not to.
Convenient.
So doing a bunch of skeletons, bleached bone, doing a bunch of zombies, necromancer flesh to start. Just gets you going and speeds things up considerably.
Gosh, no, I don't do that at all. It's like white or gray. Those are my two primer choices.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do nothing but black primer, and then after painting thousands of miniatures in batch painting. Because I have several Space Marine battle companies.
Okay.
I have an entire first company of Terminators. I have most of a 9th company of Scouts. There's a breakover point where you're just like, what is it going to take to do this faster?
Yeah, I'm over it. Let's make this. Yeah, no, I think the biggest quote-unquote batch painting I've done was four minis that were going to be similar, and I hated it.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. It's like at first it seems like cool, but I don't know, I'm very... maybe that's just my like D&D painting background. Like, yeah, it's very much just painting a hero, just painting this one thing. So I get over it when I'm done with the mini. Like, I'm done. I don't want to paint more that look like that.
Yeah.
If you want to pay me to do it, that's different. But just on my own, not really feel it.
So what you're saying is you're money motivated.
I mean, are we not all to some degree? Unfortunately, money does make the world go round to some degree.
But it doesn't buy happiness. But
No,
it
it
sure
doesn't.
can rent it.
That's that whole doesn't buy it. It's true. It doesn't have it doesn't create inner peace and happiness, but I have a lot more fun when I'm getting to travel, ride a jet ski, or whatever it is that money allows for.
Exactly.
Yeah. I gotta try out some Army Painter. You sold me on trying them.
Just try the primers. Just start with the primers. Really, the primers alone are they cost, the value price, the price wise, they're fantastic. The coverage, phenomenal, and the colors are amazing.
I'm sold. I'll try it. I'm always open to trying new things, getting new tools in my toolbox.
Oh, I think I'm going to learn plenty from you. I think you do a lot more glazing than I do, to be honest.
I mean, I think I bet you do glazing. It's one of those things. I think I've always done it, and I didn't know that it was called that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens with a lot of techniques.
Oh, I do glazing, but I've seen your work. You've got some great stuff out there.
Well, thank you.
Uh-huh. Well, we didn't just invite you in willy-nilly.
Oh.
Hey, she likes miniatures too. Let's invite her on.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's always weird to thank you. I'm just going to say thank you and shut up.
Yeah. We know you're a good painter. You can say it. It's okay.
I think I'm decent. I'm getting there. We're all somewhere in our process.
Amy, who does stuff. Hey there. Good to see you.
Speaking of good painters, that is my best hobby friend, hands down.
I think I've seen some of her stuff too.
Girl can paint.
Amy, who does stuff. Don't you post on Instagram as well?
She does, yes.
Yes.
Under that name, yes.
I've seen some calls. Yanzum, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. I see you've already started the gambling. We have a gamble feature.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me more, because I'm so
Well, apparently he just won 15,000 Tavern Platinum, so now he's filthy platinum rich. On stream. I don't know how he just pulled that off. He's a very lucky man.
You venture no further, huh? Yeah, well, not yet. Now, she comes on my Twitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, her and I are about to. We both. How do I explain this? We let the community on Instagram vote for their favorite, what is that called, Amy? What am I trying to say? Words.
Words. Use your words.
Games Workshop, small skirmish style game, and people chose Necromunda. So, and then we let them vote on which house/gang they prefer.
Oh yeah.
I am painting House Delac. She's painting Vansar, and then we're going to build and paint them on streams, and then auction them off for charity as a group, as a two teams, so you have an instant game.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We both just ordered ours yesterday, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. Actually, it should be fun. I personally have the Escher Gangers.
Amy, who does stuff, you venture no further than Instagram. You dare not come on stream, because that's a good way to get invited onto a stream.
She's amazing. Oh yeah, she was on with me last week.
Well, then that already tells me she does more than Instagram.
So, she's also a nurse, so
what got you into Sarah Connor?
She's a badass.
Well, yes.
Okay, so yeah, my two, I guess, idols that weren't people in my actual life growing up were Ripley, from Aliens, and Sarah Connor. They're just, so nowadays when people are like, it's about time we had strong female characters, and they're like all Marvel or like DC, I'm like, what? What do you mean? There's always been. I grew up watching these women that were super badass. And you know what was badass about them? Sorry, I said that 10 times.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We use that 4-letter words here. It's okay.
I like them because they were real. They were very they're just normal people thrown into,
extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, and the way they handled it. and were super classy and about it. Classy. That's not what I mean. They're just real. I don't know. They're awesome. And Sarah Connor's like transformation from, just young, simple woman to this like powerhouse was just really cool. Her arc was amazing. And yeah, I don't know. I grew up with them. They're my girls. So that's why I made a mini.
When did you start painting miniatures? Like what was the start for you?
Okay, so this simple version of the story. I have always been into miniatures in general. Like just loved little things and crafting. So I was building myself a haunted town. Just because I don't know, like a Halloween, but more just all year round haunted town. And then I, at the same time, started working with people that played D&D.
That's a dangerous combination right there.
And yeah, so we start talking, and they're like, "You need to play D&D with us." And then I'm like, "Yeah," and I craft stuff. And then one of the guys was into making things, and he, showed me Black Magic Craft and all these YouTube channels, and it sort of just exploded from there. And then we started playing around the same time, started playing D&D. He became my roommate, painted miniatures himself. So there it was. It was like, oh, I want to try that. And at first I hated it because I don't actually wear glasses. I couldn't see anything. I didn't understand how people painted. I was like, this is stupid. And then I just thought one day, I was like, maybe I should try my reading glasses. And bam, here I am now with really magnified reading glasses so that I can see my minis. Otherwise,
So I have things that we actually used to sell called hobby goggles.
Oh, well, I call them my nerd glasses, these guys. So this is what I was wearing up until about a week ago.
Those are killer. I love them.
Yeah,
I could mount a camera to the front of that and you could see my view.
I know. It's amazing, right? I should make like a GoPro pair.
I think those would stop bullets too.
Yep, they're pretty intense. And that's the problem. They're really heavy, and they have a hard time adjusting my eyes back after I take them off. They're so extreme. So I ended up just getting a really strong pair of reading glasses, like cheap, like $5 for $10, kind of cheap, and they work just as well, and they don't give me a headache. So
sometimes I wear these because they're polarized lenses, so they handle all the excess light around me. So if I'm painting by a window or something like that, but right here they have built-in magnifiers. And so when I'm looking at something right here, I have perfect posture because of the angle my head has to be to look down. And this one is 3 times magnified right now.
Okay.
So I can see every wicked detail. And the polarized light just means that I can see, because the part that's magnified is not polarized. So only the light that's affecting the miniature is pulled into my eyes. So all that excess light that can hurt your eyes. Yeah, it's fancy. It's fancy. It's very nerdy.
It's
very nerdy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
A little bit of science goes a long way.
These are like two. Yeah. You do like your science, huh?
I do. Well, I used to be a biomedical engineer, so.
Oh, dang. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I get all sciencey.
I like it. Yeah, but used to. Now what? What made the change? Interviewing you now, by the way.
Oh, well, that's okay. I like, you're flipping the tables really good. I'll come onto your show, and then I'll ask you lots of questions, too. I left that field after about 8 or 9 years in it. I really enjoyed it. I was one of the youngest guys in Chicago who had his own biomedical engineering shop and was doing really good. But then there's a certain point in time where you're just sick and tired of being woken up at 2 in the morning for an emergency to come into a surgical procedure, because if you don't fix the piece of equipment, somebody may die.
Oh.
And so that can be stressful. The real catalyst from it is I was already serving in the Army Reserves. I'd been in the Army Reserves since for a while, I'll just put it that way. And then 9/11 kicked off. And then suddenly, a lot of things changed for a lot of us in the reserves at that point. So, so the Army had some plans for me at that point. And I was already a professional OPFOR and had learned a great deal about various different terrorist groups and how they operated. And so I've become a very interesting person to a number of different groups, and then I wound up becoming a government contractor and government employee later on. And now I'm a consultant and contractor still, all the time. So,
Wow.
yeah, I help with a lot of security stuff. I'll put it that way.
Minis painting, yes.
Yeah, and for a brief time in there, I was also I also was a pretty high level guy at Games Workshop. I left one of my government jobs to work for them for a few years, and that was a lot of fun. Then I got deployed to Iraq, and when I came back, it was a lot of not fun anymore. So I left.
Things that just changed in the company, or?
Yeah, I mean, some things had changed in the company, but I had also changed too.
Yeah.
I probably should have taken more time off before I went back to work. I'll be honest. There's some things that I should have taken some more time on as well, but I didn't.
Hindsight.
Yeah, and I don't fault anyone at Games Workshop at that time for anything. If anything, they were pretty good about taking care of me at the time, and when I left, they treated me well. So
Good.
yeah.
Excellent. It's good to leave jobs on good terms.
Yeah, you try.
When you can.
You try.
How's your guy coming?
Which one? I just did. I've done 7 so far.
What?
Yeah, well, they're not. So I'm batch painting. So I'm doing all the same thing on each one of them. So I use one color at a time, knock out everything with that color, go to the next color. Yeah.
I mean, technically what I'm doing, I'm painting flesh on, and I've gotten 2 done. So.
Well, that's pretty fast, believe it or not.
A game. Well, you were saying that us women can multitask better on these things. Like, I don't know. Yes, I can, but I paint a lot slower when I'm talking.
We were having a discussion on the difference between men and women streamers, and I had made the comment, women have a complete advantage in streaming, that men don't. And, I could already tell, like, you might have been, like, already getting ramped up for the wrong statements to come out of my mouth next. But it wasn't what you thought it probably was. It was, no, you can multitask way better than men can. Like, you guys can handle painting and talking to people at the same time, whereas men usually just stare at what they're doing, and whether it's video games or painting miniatures and all that stuff, it's a real challenge.
So interesting, because it's like I can't shut up. I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to just sit there and, like, people can, like, pay bits to have you do something. Like, one of the options is for me to not talk, and I'm like, that I hope nobody. I won't be able to do that. It's not.
Hey, Lucha, good to see you.
Lucha Bear.
And Amy, who does stuff, we'll talk later. We'll get you on as a guest. It's not a problem. We love having guests. We even love having regular guests who show up like once a month. So.
Me, I can do it.
All right.
If you want me.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
We'll see after, right?
Huh?
Like, you can decide after this.
Yeah, there's a trial. There's a trial period. This is the trial period.
Being interviewed, like a working interview.
It's really kind of a pass-fail thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now you're doing great.
Okay, pressure. Yeah, no, Amy's amazing. You should have her on.
What was the first miniature you painted?
A tiefling, however you want to say it. I don't actually know. Rogue from Reaper Miniatures.
Did it have horns?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was probably a tiefling.
Well, tiefling. I'm just saying, how do you say
tiefling.
it?
Tiefling.
I always want to say tiefling, but
to be honest, so like, I stopped playing D&D the first time around 3.5, and in 3.5 there was no tieflings. I did not play 4th edition at all. Completely skipped it. All right, and I had just barely started playing 3.5, and then I kind of stepped away for probably the better part of 15 to 20 years. And I went completely into miniatures games, headlong, never looking back, right? And then at some point, 5th edition came out, and a few years after 5th edition came out, all these people are telling me, you gotta check this out. You gotta check this out. And I'm like, D&D, how much could it be, different, and I checked it out because I had looked at 4th edition books once and went, I don't know what's happened to D&D, but this isn't it. It just didn't feel like D&D to me at the time. But I looked at 5th edition, I played a few games, and it was one of the most fantastic systems I'd ever played. So, but then I'm looking at all the races, and I'm like, what the hell's a tiefling? What the hell's a dragonborn? I remember Dragonborn under a different name in Dragonlance. What is all this stuff? And there they were.
And they just keep adding more.
They do.
I have actually only played... Well, no, that's not true. I was going to say I've only played elves, but I also have a Tabaxi character, which I assume wasn't part of it either back then.
Tabaxis were not, no. I mean, like, they were known races and stuff like that. But
That's playable.
But
Yeah, Tabaxi Rogue. Gotta say, if you've not tried it, people, it's a great combo.
Oh, yeah. Especially as a thief with fast hands.
Rogue? I meant monk. Sorry.
No, they're great as rogues, too. Fast
Yeah,
hands and a Tabaxi.
Yeah, no, I meant, monk, though, with all their...
I have a Tabaxi Monk character I made that I just made to see what it would look like in terms of how it plays.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, they're fast.
Mm-hmm.
So they can get into combat if they need to.
You cannot outrun them.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so much fun to just be able to chase anybody down. It's awesome. But
just as importantly, you can get away.
Run away!
You're chasing that guy around the corner, and then you see like 8 of the biggest dudes you ever saw in your life. You're like, nah, I don't think so. Turn back around. Like hell.
Or run up the wall, because that's what Tabaxis can do.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun. Yeah, I'm currently playing a... what am I playing? A Wood Elf Rogue, and then I'm about to start playing again my Drow Ranger. Which I'm stoked on. She's my favorite.
One of the coolest Tabaxis I've seen played so far was played by a guy named Stefan on one of our RPG short shots. He played a Tabaxi Arcane Trickster, who is obnoxiously charming.
It kind of should, I think. That's a good combo. Yeah.
And it was great because he showed up on stream, and he had makeup on and whiskers and shit, but on his headphones or his earphone, he had the headphones on. He had the cat ears on the headphones.
That's amazing.
Attached, and it was great. And then at some point, one of the ears fell off. We started screaming, "Oh my God, he's falling apart!"
Yeah, I have one of these days. I'm gonna dress up in full elf costume for a stream. So when I did the 24-hour stream, we had like stretch goals for 24 hour for charity. So next time the stretch goals are going to be like sort of embarrassing link to each guest, that they have to do with me, and one of them is one of my friends. Her and I have to dress up like elves.
Those are the people who won the costume contest at the Games Workshop Game Days.
Elves?
Dark elves.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I'm not going to wear makeup like that. I can't do it. Because I am dark elf girl, right? So when I say dark, I don't necessarily mean I'm a drow. Yes,
No. Dark elves have pale skin.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
No, it's not. A dark elf in Warhammer world is a pale-skinned.
Bye, Amy.
Person. Bye, Amy.
UK, so she's almost everybody I interact with in the hobby is in the UK for the most part.
Well, welcome to the US people as well. And UK people who are watching, we love you too.
It's just late for them.
We actually have a lot of UK folks in our Discord, believe it or not.
Yeah. I think Games Workshop being from there there's a lot of hobbyists there, right?
Yeah, there's a fair amount.
Yeah, just a couple. I do think we are more D&D in the States though, whereas...
No. The US has a much larger customer base.
But I mean, I think that D&D is bigger here though than in no?
Hayden 071026, thank you very much for following us today.
Wait, what is this? I think it's actually from the German word for deep, which is tief or tief. See, that's the thing. Well, again, how do you pronounce that? need a German person to pronounce it for us.
Tiefling. I am a tiefling. I am a lowly tiefling. Please don't kill me. I am full of chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah, it is Tief. You're right. Long E. T. So T. Fling.
Yeah, long E would be tiefling. I am a tiefling.
So am I right? No, I say tiefling. Damn it! I already forgot what I even say. That's welcome to my life. If there's like two options, I will always go with the wrong one, thinking that it's because I always go with the other one. Anyways, story of my life, right there, folks. Like deepling. Okay, it is tiefling. Fine. Thank you for the for helping me out there. Not sound stupid. I guarantee you, though, I'm gonna still, next time it comes up, think it's something else.
Lucha Bear, always good for doing research.
What else do we want to know about? I really love sending people in the chat to, like, Google this for me, because I can't right now. I'm busy.
Got my hands full of paint.
Yes. And I hope they do, too. I like when people are painting along. It's the best. I think, anyways.
We do have a fair group of people who paint with us. If Naceris bumps in, we'll say hi to him. He's usually painting with us. Rose Gold often paints with us too. She's awesome.
In the end, it doesn't matter as long as I run around. You know what you mean. This is true. I'm the stubborn one who wants to say, is it GIF or GIF, right? And everyone's
yeah,
like,
yeah, or chitinous or chitinous
yes.
plates. It's chitin, by the way, but you know.
We still know.
And I was embarrassed horribly when I said that in a Games Workshop store, and I was corrected.
Ah. Okay. Here's what I'll do. Never play one. I won't have an issue.
I had an interesting question I put out on Twitter, not that today, I think on the Games Tavern account, which is, what is the race or class you just can't play in D&D? There's a lot of opinions out there, apparently.
Can't play in the don't want to, like you don't like them, or can't play them?
Yeah, you just don't like them.
I think it's a lot of them actually for me. Like I wouldn't play. It's not that I don't like the race. I just wouldn't want to play them, and that's kind of all of them except for elves and maybe tieflings and tabaxi. Maybe a dragonborn. But like I don't want to play a dwarf. I don't want to play a halfling. No interest in playing like half orcs. Or human. I don't want to play a human. I get why people do, but I'm like, no, I play D&D to escape and be something better than I feel like I already am, and I'm already a human, so it's not.
I'm curious, why do you think people play humans?
Two reasons. One, they're pretty balanced as far as race stats, right?
Uh-huh.
But then also, I think people, for the same reason I just said, is why they do play humans. They do want to just be themselves in a fantasy setting. Like escape as a human, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But in my ideal world, I am an elf. So my initials are even elf. Like the dark elf, that's what it is. It's Aaron Lurie Fraser. That's my name. I'm elf.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, that's why I play elves. I feel like they're just humans better. Would you not want to be one? I've gotten in this argument with a few of my D&D friends. They're like, because you can't have a race that's better, like, because then it makes the others not, you know, like they should all be semi-equal. I'm like, no, they're just better. I mean, like in all of the ways, like physically, in my mind, they're more physically capable, but also living longer makes you more. You're gonna have more intelligence, more probably like emotional, all the kinds of intelligence. You are gonna be physically better because you've just gotten better at everything with all the years that go by. They're just better. That's it. Sorry, controversial or not.
But they make a lot of things that are really pretty, but are they just as functional as a dwarven piece?
No, but
piece?
No, but that's the other thing. I feel like they, in my mind, especially like something like a wood elf, they are more harmonious with nature too, and that's really important to me in like real world. So that's also why I think they're better.
So they grow their houses, and they can spend hundreds of years making them grow into what they need.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they aren't destructive of nature, where, like, no offense to dwarves, but in my mind, like, things like mining and stuff they're taking from rather than giving back. And dwarves are, like, traditionally rather greedy. I mean, I'm a Tolkien girl. I grew up with Tolkien. They are incredibly greedy. And...
Well, they can be in the Tolkien universe, but in D&D, it's a little bit different. Depends on which dwarves group and which world you're in.
Absolutely. I have painted quite a few Dugers, actually. Gray dwarves from Underdark.
Durgar?
Yeah. Yes, I read all the Dritz novels, so that's how I know about them. And why I like Dark Elves.
You know, all the Dark Elves in my games speak like Australians.
Because they're from down under.
They're from the land down under.
Yep. My Australian friend is always telling me that. He's like, "You are Australian, Aaron, if you're dark." Okay, fine.
Yep.
Honorary Australian.
Yep.
Amazing. I had a...
Hello there. We're going to do a little bit of ritual sacrifice later. Care to join us as we put him on the barbie?
I had a DM who ran a homebrew game, and his were very much more like kind of Middle Eastern vibe.
Yeah, I've seen that done before.
I think that worked for me.
With the Duragar, I tend to do them with a Russian voice, personally.
Yeah, that's fitting. I can see that.
We are from Old Clan. We came originally. Other clans that left here are all want to be dwarves. They are not strong like Duragar.
I don't do accents at all, so I think I'm very tickled by anybody who has one or does one.
Strong like bear, smart like hammer.
Yeah, I can't do. That's the one thing about me playing D&D is I sound like me. I'm in character, like as far as I make decisions and think like my character, but I do not speak any different than you hear right now.
Oh yeah.
It's not my thing. Maybe eventually, like with more time. I've only been playing for 2.5 years, so.
Well, I think the person who plays for 2.5 years and has a quality game is having just as much fun as the person who's played for 20.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you don't need to. I don't. Voices are fun, especially appreciate it when a DM does them for NPCs and stuff. But I don't. As much as I enjoy it when like people I play with do it, I don't feel disappointed when they're not either. So.
Yeah.
That's just me.
For me, it's the interesting bit is making sure that I remember who I am when I'm dungeon mastering from NPC to NPC, because I've had an NPC literally go through 3 different voice changes in the middle of the conversation because I couldn't remember who I was playing, and
yeah,
I had to stop and go, wait, who am I again?
Yeah, how did it go? I think that's hilarious. Yeah, I had in the first campaign I played in, vampires were kind of our nemesis. Because they were all very German. And that was hilarious, but like they'd interchange because he would do it slightly different for each one, but then like they'd end up all just we're like, I don't know who are you right now? Who are we actually talking to? Because that sounds like that other one. But yeah, it's still very amusing. Vampires. I should have a picture pulled up of her, but I think I don't actually need reference for Sarah Connor.
You know Sarah Connor like the back of your hand.
Yeah, and it's the outfit too, the cool outfit that she gets in before they go, blow up something at.
Color 2 is done. Some grays.
Show. Let me see.
Let me show you some grays. So we've got gray tunics.
Nice. Yeah. Yep. Oh, there we go.
You know, and gray hoods, and then we've got gray hats.
I dig it.
This guy will. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's fine.
I like how some of these guys are holding their guts in. In some cases, we switch it out, and we've got, you know, gray hair on their heads and stuff like that too.
Hello, Al. What am I painting? I'm painting Sarah Connor.
Kaiju Shorts.
Yes, he's my pal.
Good to see you, Kaiju Shorts. Glad to see you.
He's painting zombicide zombies. I'm painting my Hero Forge girl. And 5 other things.
Uh-oh.
He's in Australia.
Is he? Well, that explains the kaiju.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second, I gotta check something. There we go.
Well, my neighbor kids next door are really loud, you guys. Surprised you don't hear them. They've got a trampoline, like, right outside my window. Kids are loud. I don't know if you noticed that.
I don't think we can hear it.
Good.
You know, a good microphone will take care of a lot of that excess stuff too. Trambampoline. I dig it. I want a trambampoline. Is that something Dr. Seuss created?
That sounds very sweet. Kids are just loud. They yell about it. Just gotta yell. Just need to be heard.
Help me! What did I do? Ah, there it is. Necrotic Flesh. Getting into the flesh tones now.
You find it interesting to see what people paint first. You know, there's people that completely do their skin that are done, and then they start painting the other stuff. Because I'm a sloppy painter, like I do a lot of cleanup later, so I don't really like. I definitely have to base layer everything and then work everything together.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I tend to paint metals first when I do metals. It's easier to cover up metals, and half the metal techniques out there are dry brushing. So, you know, dry brushing can be a very messy technique.
Yes.
So, just one of those things.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a Homer Simpson creation. I'm shocked I don't know that because Simpsons was kind of my thing for 20 years probably. I never missed an episode ever back then. And then you look down and you realize I just missed almost an entire arm.
Oh, yeah.
You move on to the next color and, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, gotta go back and touch that up. Oh, look, the paint's still wet. I think we can do this. Yeah.
No. I mixed in with another color, so we're starting over. That's fine.
Oh.
Slowly get better at that kind of stuff. And so I really love that Hero Forge is a thing and that you can design your own minis. I really dislike their proportions though.
They're a little, I think they're like closer to 30 millimeter. They're a little big.
They're just proportionately, they're like weird hero scale. Like hands are gigantic, legs are short. I'm like, I got a long, you know, I made an Aaron mini and I'm like, that's not, I got long legs and it doesn't matter the color you make them, they don't get taller. It's bigger. But at the same time, I don't mean to complain because I do think they're amazing. It would be cool if they had a line that was like more realistic and less cartoony.
Mm-hmm. You may have a good thing you can mention in your feedback to them. They do take feedback.
I mean, that would take them like completely redoing everything they have, though. Everything. Or doing it again.
No, it just means they're sculpting new miniatures and adding it to their lineup. New concepts.
I think mostly it would just be actually the body proportions, because you can get really specific on that.
Yeah, they've got options to make them, thicker or less ham, skinny as a rail if you want. You can even make them almost skeletal.
I also created, I didn't show you this, but I also made an Artemis, as in like the Greek goddess Artemis.
I gotta keep talking.
Keep talking. I'm talking. Artemis, with her like a fox. She's goddess of the hunt and wild things. So
yeah, that's just killer.
It's too much fun, and they're so cheap. Like the STLs are like what, $5 or less?
Yep. If you've got a good printer, that's the other key here. You can't skip on that. I'm more of a, if you're gonna print on a resin printer.
Yes, absolutely. These are all printed by my local friend, Barthel's Marbles, who they're on Instagram. They're amazing.
Actually, one of the guys here in this area is one of the most prolific sculptors for miniatures for D&D that you'll ever meet. Yeah, he's actually a local to us here in the DC area. And MZ4250, check him out when you get a chance. He's got a great Patreon too. Thousands of miniatures available.
Sweet.
Yeah, lots of different poses too. Definitely worth checking out. You won't be disappointed. And he does amazing stuff on the regular.
Is he on Instagram?
He is on MZ4250 and then on Twitter as well.
Maybe after this you can.
He's also on Twitch as well.
Right. Terrible with that stuff.
Yeah, I'll hook you up. I'll get you his info.
It's like link or nothing, or it's gone. Give me a link or it's gone. Too much spinning around in my head all the time. So I didn't realize it until after I had it printed, but I had Sarah Connor made with elf ears on accident. So I had to cut them off. I was like, well, I mean, people are cool, but
a little filing goes a long way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're gone now, but I was like, wait. It's funny, I didn't even notice. I showed it to my local friend, and they're like, she's an elf? I'm like, oh.
Oh, no. Oh, snap.
I guess it's better than the other way around, like wanting it to be an elf and having.
It's like there was this show on a long time ago. I forget what it was from. It was a spin-off of The Golden Girls. A doctor and his neighbor and his two daughters. It was like a comedy. And his neighbor was just basically this misogynistic tool named Charlie. And Charlie, was always trying to, look important and basically get lucky. And if he could figure out a way to get with the guy's daughters, he was trying to do that too half the time. Never worked because the daughters were smarter than that. But, he would come over constantly because, they at least were neighbors and somewhat friendly neighbors, even though he was a tool. He was really excited about a license plate he had gotten, because he got a custom license plate. His whole thinking behind it was, "See, lover," is what it was. Shows it to him and it says Clover. It's kind of like putting elf ears on a Sarah Connor and not realizing you did it.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. "See, lover." No, it says Clover.
Ay.
No matter how much they told him that that's what it said, he just wasn't having it. Poor guy.
Personalized license plates are interesting. Interesting concept.
Supposedly, Northern Virginia, which is a DC suburb area, has more personalized license plates than any other place in the nation, even more than California.
Why do you think that is?
Money and power in DC, and it's all about flaunting your money and your power.
Okay, I think at the end of the day, that's what I meant by interesting. You're kind of, it says it, vanity plates.
Yeah.
It's right there in the name.
It's right there in the name.
Enough said. Some are just funny though. The one that they're like, for princess, or like, you know, things like that, where it's like, oh gosh, cool. Or, you know, like, I got a car for Christmas. Like, what? Ow.
When you see the license plate says her toy,
Yeah.
and you see he's driving it.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Mazda Miata.
Yeah.
I'm so mean.
Or it could be, you know, it could be a Porsche Boxster, you know, it's her toy, but, you know, he's having to borrow it.
To me, Mazda Miatas are Barbie cars, and that's not a bad thing. I just always, dudes look big in them. They just do. They just look big in that. There's nothing wrong with driving it.
In a Miata?
Yes!
Because a Miata looks like a fun, fast car, but it's not. It's a convertible, and that's about it.
First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the Clover license plate. Yes.
Yes. Yes, exactly, Kaiju Schwartz.
I don't know. I'm like, what would I... Like, if I had to have one, what would it be?
Probably Dark Elf.
Oh, yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth.
DRKELFGRL. If you could fit that many on a plate.
Not just Dark Elf would do. Originally on Instagram was a co-op girl.
Co-op girl?
Yeah, cooperative games. Like, co-op girl is like my PlayStation handle.
Uh-huh.
Because I pretty much just only want to play co-op games, which I consider D&D to be. I don't like 1 versus 1, and I don't like just one-player games.
You're big on the social aspect.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my thing. I used to be kind of a big player on EVE Online. I did a bunch of cool stuff there that I'll never admit to, but I'm actually the guy who showed up in the newspaper for some things at one point. But to be honest, it was the social aspect that drew me to the game.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like that with a lot of things for me. I'm an only child, so I think I've done my time alone, I guess you could say. Like, I like, even watching a movie or a show, I prefer it with somebody else, because there's just somebody else who's experiencing it, and you can talk about it and just enjoy it together. It's like they say, you know, if you're watching a comedy, people are more likely to laugh out loud if they're watching it with somebody else laughing. Or you just sort of chuckle if you're by yourself. You even find it funnier if you're with somebody else, and that's
true.
Not that I don't just sit there in like weird silence and stare at the wall when I'm by myself. But
you do. Just admit it. You do. It's okay.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
You rock back and forth. I'm so alone.
No, I'm actually more like an android. I just shut down when nobody's talking to me. I just go into like rest mode.
So you're an extrovert.
I'm weird in between, actually. No, that's a weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Do you get tired when you're around large groups of people?
Yes.
Okay, then you're an introvert.
I'm both. I'm telling you, I'm both, because I do need socialization to not go crazy.
Introverts need socialization too. That's not about. It's not about that. It's about how you recharge.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do still think that I'm a bit of an extrovert though, or because I do find recharge in being around my people, which is a very small clan.
Still sounds like an introvert to me.
I know. Okay, fine. Yeah, I'm an introvert. Well, you know, I think part of the introvert extrovert though is actually also how you process your emotions and thoughts. Like, a lot of introverts in my mind deal with them more on their own. I need to say them out loud and to somebody else and get their feedback and bounce it off other people. I need that. Like, I need to get the thoughts out of my head.
Well, that means you're external processing.
Okay. Then that's what I am.
Science!
And I'm very much external processing, which is a weird thing to live alone. I think that's a lot of what feeds my Twitch and like Instagram presence.
It's working.
Yeah. Well, so far so good, I think.
Okay, so these flesh tones are taking a lot longer than everything else you've seen me do so far. I'm just gonna warn you.
Well, that makes me feel a little better about
Yeah, because I'm having to work them into all this clothing, but not make it look like it. You know, you can't make mistakes here.
Mistakes are not allowed. What happens?
It means I have to go back over it with the other color or get to it really fast, like I'm about to have to do right here where I got a little on the clothing. One of the things you can do is just a little bit of a wet brush.
Yeah, I do that.
Just pull it out. Thanks to the miracle of capillary action.
Yeah, I do that.
Just brush it away.
Get a muscle car and have Dodge Elf Girl. Oh my god. I think if I was to get a muscle car, it would have to be... Yeah, no, I do Mopar. Mopar... I don't know, actually.
Mopar or nothing.
Well, no, see, my dream car is essentially Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds, so Mustang, like GT 500. But Hemi Cuda is like my second one, so 70 Hemi Cuda. But like modern, no, I don't do modern. What's your dream car?
My dream car, I already have it. I have a Jeep Wrangler.
Oh.
I've had it since 1997. I had my midlife crisis in my early 20s.
Yeah, my dream car is too expensive. I will probably never have it, and that's okay. But I mean, I have practical dream cars for ones.
You gotta remember, I've had that Jeep longer than anything else, and it's now considered a classic car in this area. So I can get antique plates for it.
What was your first car?
My first car was a Chrysler LeBaron that my father gave me, and then he drove it into a lake after he moved to Florida. So I had the car for all of like never, for all intents and purposes. Like it was my car, and then he told me it would be my car. He took it with him when he moved to Florida because I was on active duty with the Army at the time. And he had an accident, and he drove the car into a lake, and then I didn't have a car anymore. So my car right after that was an emergency purchase, basically, which was a piece of crap Ford LTD station wagon from like 1986. This thing had Bombay doors and a hood so big you could launch aircraft from it.
My first car was a 1986 Honda Prelude red. I loved it. It was so 80s, but like cool 80s. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have a Subaru BRZ.
A super what?
Subaru BRZ.
They're nice.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Rear wheel drive though, which is pretty stupid, but
Yeah, the Toyota Tacoma truck is nice. That's what I have too.
that is my favorite truck. They're really expensive here still though, like way. An old one is so much, so I ended up getting a Ford Ranger for my rig, my camping rig.
Yeah, I wanted the Tacoma.
Oh, they're fantastic.
I wanted the Tacoma because it reminded me of the trucks we had in Afghanistan.
Oh.
So, but you can't get a Helix here, a Toyota Helix. The day those come out, man, it's gonna be a bad day for the competition.
What? How are they different?
Well, they're diesel powered, but they're just built so tough. I mean, the Tacoma has a lot of the same basic parts and components, but they're just so tough. We had a rock take out the front differential on one of them, and it drove for 175 miles before it burned out. It's kind of important because you really didn't want to stick around where we were at.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
I had a 1981 Toyota truck. It's like straight front axle.
Oh yeah, the old Toyota, when it said Toyota on the back of the bed there.
Yeah.
I love those.
I
saw a lot of guys take those and turn those into something that said Yoda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually mine didn't even have the back tailgate. It was replaced. It had a weird like steel one. It was very like off-roady. It had like 35s on it, and it was a beast.
Oh yeah. There's a guy who took one, painted it bright yellow, and had the wording changed to Tonka. It was the best.
Clever. I don't get to talk cars very often, so thank you.
See, you get to do all sorts of cool stuff on paint shows with me.
Dig it.
Yeah.
Well, I know are not in cars anymore. I was married to a mechanic who was like a car enthusiast.
Yeah.
He really like gifted me the love and appreciation of them, but there's nobody really in my life who does car.
That's the other thing is the Jeep that I have.
Yeah.
I do 90% of the repair work on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, there was one time I had to take the entire front dash completely, not the dash, the entire front, like, covering off, including the steering wheel console and everything, to replace the heat exchanger for the heater. And that was like a 2-day job for me. I don't take Jeeps apart every day like a mechanic that's professional does, but boy howdy. You saw nothing but wires and connections, and then I've done an engine swap on it. Mm-hmm. All that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've been around all that and helped, but it's definitely I'm not a mechanic. I can change my oil
That's good.
and stuff, but not in the car I have now. Nope. Too small. I don't want to get underneath. It's way too low. But like on my truck, that was awesome. You literally just sit up underneath it.
You didn't even have to raise it up. Yeah.
That's where I learned to do that stuff. But in a pinch, I'm kind of a tomboy. In a pinch, I can change my own tire and stuff like that. But
I just refuse not to have a vehicle that's off-road capable.
I get that, especially your background. And that's why I bought my truck, because my car is not taking me camping. I can barely fit like enough of my groceries in it. Like it's so stupid.
Really?
Like it's one of those, it's a quote unquote 4-seater, but really like the 2 front seats are actually back up against the back seat. Like it's not, there's no 2 seats. It's tiny. It's tiny.
So from a painting perspective, what's the miniature you've always wanted to paint?
Well, I think, I don't know if there's one specific one, but I've been holding off on painting a big dragon for the first time.
What size?
When I say big, I mean I've never painted anything. I don't have a good example, but I think I've never painted anything more than maybe this big.
So like this size?
Yeah, that or even bigger.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have ordered one now. I got the black dragon from Games Workshop.
Okay.
So it should be here anytime. I'm really impatient, but I've been kind of waiting for multiple reasons. I have an airbrush now. What's the other reason? Oh, I just wasn't ready. I didn't think I was good enough yet. I wanted to, if I was going to take on a big project.
I'll be honest, dragons and big models for me are easier than the tiny ones.
That's what people say. But I feel like small, tiny models are more forgiving though, of like, maybe not the detail not being this well, or your blending not nobody can see.
Unless you're doing some really crazy blending, the blending is pretty easy on a bigger model because it's done on a bigger scale. And it looks realistic at that point. I mean, that one you just saw in my hands that's primed with a single green, and now all I gotta do is hit it with a wash and then work the details in, and I'm good. One of the white dragons I layered up from a dark, almost black gray. Did it live on stream in 3 hours.
Oh no. This, I'm talking about like working on this thing for a long time. Like this is gonna be my like current magnum opus, if you will. Like
okay.
This isn't gonna be fast paint. This is gonna be a slow, methodical. Does Airbrush cover more area quickly? Oh yeah, much faster. Yeah, that's what I mean. You can do both. Airbrush for priming, yeah, it's faster. Getting your base coats down, it's gonna be faster and smoother and just better. But then also for some of the techniques I want to do and blending, so I use a lot of colors, and I do like to blend a lot of weird colors. I would like to do that with an airbrush on the wings and stuff, because I'm really big into neon, really bright colors. So.
That can be great.
For the few that are here, the competition that I host on Instagram, plug, next month's theme is Neon Dimension. So people just have to paint stuff with bright neon colors.
Welcome to the Neon Dimension, and it's all bright colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Neon Dimension is sort of my own little place I've created to explain all the minis I paint. And it all started with, actually, he's right here. This tiny little familiar from Reaper. He is a tiny baby Cthulhu.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
So I'm obsessed with him, and he's one of the first things I painted, actually, and I just kind of got weirdly inspired to just make some like this really bizarre train that was kind of black base with just neon colors all over it, and skulls and tentacles, and I just started calling it my Neon Dimension, and so I paint denizens for the Neon Dimension, and I call them his minions. Like it's his. Anyways, so yep, that's about it, and I want to see what other people's quote-unquote Neon Dimension looks like.
Nyx Roars asked, does an airbrush cover more quickly? Yes, it can. You set your nozzle width, and you can take care of that. It can also cover very tiny, minuscule amounts as well, and create more of a natural fade effect if done right.
Yeah, which is why I was waiting for my airbrush to even get a big dragon.
Which one did you pick up, the Badger or?
I don't even remember now. I got a kit off of, like it came with everything. I didn't get a Badger. I got one that had a better compressor, so that could last, and then later when I got better and more serious about it, I could buy a better gun. Actual brush.
Yeah, a good compressor with a water trap is critical.
Yeah, no, this has that. Yeah, so it's a master airbrush. It's master. It's a kit. It comes with like 3 different airbrushes. 2 gravity fed and 1 whatever the other you call that.
Who made it?
It's called Master Airbrush. There's
okay.
the kit. Yeah.
I'm looking at Isle Water right now.
Yeah, a lot of people recommended that. I did my own research, but then asked people in the hobby community, and a lot of people suggested that, but they're a bit.
That's a good way to start, is the Masters.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't want to go dump a whole lot of money on it if I wasn't gonna. I'd rather practice and get better on a cheaper one, and then decide if I want to.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. But. And to be honest, I've had it for almost 2 months and barely used it yet. I've just been too busy to want to really tackle learning it. I've done a little priming with it, but
I'm just trying to figure out if I'm going to go to a gravity fed or a side fed. And that's the thing that's held me off for the most part, and it's a pretty big investment.
It is. Well, that's what I'm saying. Get a good air compressor, and then try out all of these kinds. Get gravity fed, get a side one, do all that, and just get cheap ones, which way you like better, before you go buy a nice one. That would be my suggestion. But most people that get into airbrushing, it becomes what they really love to do.
Okay, guys, it's 6:05. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break. We're going to be right back, so hang out with us. We'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Hey, it's Reed from the Games Tavern Happy Hour. Take a look at some of these cool faces that you're going to see, because they're some of the people we've already interviewed, and we've got a whole lot more coming up. They're tabletop gaming streamers, game developers, game designers, artists, and more. If they're in the tabletop space, we're probably going to talk to them at the interview table at some point. In addition to that, we also do tabletop game reviews, as well as accessory reviews, models, miniatures, unboxings, you name it. Plus, Every week we provide you with the latest news and new releases in the tabletop gaming space. If it's involved with tabletop gaming, chances are we're going to cover it. You can see this every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/thegamestavern on Twitch. And also, you can check us out on YouTube just by searching YouTube for The Games Tavern. We'll see you next week at The Games Tavern.
Have you ever needed quality images of characters for your games or stories, but couldn't find the time or assets to create them? Epic Character Generator comes to your rescue with lots of features. After launching the program, you can select a base character to start working on. Just pick a wardrobe and begin customizing it. At any time, you can jump to the settings to turn other packs on and use their content on your character too. There are certain items which not always fit together nicely. You can use the toggle feature to decide whether these items should be on top or on the bottom. You can use the coloring tool to give your items a unique look. A few items can deform the base body in a minor way, and others can make huge changes. How about moving around some decorations in the background? Or even the whole character to find the perfect composition? You can save your character as a data file and load it back later to continue editing it. You can export your character as a PNG image with a background selected from the program, or choose a transparent one. You can use it later in any environment. So, have you crafted your first character already? Epic Character Generator, now available on Android.
And we're back. Thanks for hanging out and thanks for staying in there. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. What do we got here? Monk, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it. If you chew Trident gum while wearing Invisalign, will it seal my mouth shut? I think that's a different stream that can answer that. Perhaps you should talk to your dentist. I don't know that we're prepared to understand that question. Next up, Yanzum, thank you for subscribing, or excuse me, Monks Games, thank you for subscribing for 3 months in a row. Really appreciate it. Let's see here. Socials. Good to see everybody. Let's see here. I think what you're trying to do is social. Exclamation social. Everybody out there, say hi to Paul. Paul is one of the guys who helps us moderate the show and is amazing at helping us out with that.
Hi, Paul.
So share with some emotes in chat if you can. And thank our tech people and our mods for being awesome human beings.
I like awesome human beings.
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in, we've been talking paint, we've been talking miniatures, and we've been talking muscle cars, and we've been talking all sorts of other cool stuff. With Dark Elf Girl, who is painting... What are you painting again?
Sarah Connor from Terminator that I designed on Hero Forge.
Absolutely killer. So, we talked about the miniatures that you absolutely started with and how you got started in painting miniatures. I think we just mentioned airbrushes. Mm-hmm. And what brushes do you actually use right now? Like, what's your favorite brush currently?
Cheap ones. I'm one of them.
Big ones?
Cheap.
Oh, cheap? Cheap's not wrong necessarily, as long as they're quality.
No, they're not. No. I use garbage brushes, and it's time for me to stop. So I don't trust myself with good brushes because I don't care for them very well. But now that I've been doing it long enough, and I do respect it more, I was about to buy some Rosemary and Co., but they're not shipping to the States right now, so I have not decided who else I'm going to go with.
The Army Painter.
Yeah?
They make... Look, I've been using the Army Painter. I use Games Workshop, the Army Painter, you name it. I've got Kolinsky brushes. I've got all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of great brushes out there. Games Workshop makes amazing brushes. They're Golden Fox. They're a good quality brush. That's a tier 2 brush bristle. Okay. The Army Painter uses Golden Sable for most of their natural hair brushes, and that's a tier 1 bristle brush, and it costs half the price. So, dollar for dollar, pound for pound, it's one of the best price points out there for a...
Do they have synthetic?
They do have some.
Prefer synthetic.
From what I understand, the Golden Sable is responsibly harvested.
Well, I will look into it. I do need... It's time. Like, my crap brushes are crap.
Yeah.
They're past their prime now, too. I'm like, okay, let's stop buying a bunch of shitty brushes and actually...
And then I use the Masters brush cleaner as well. And that's this stuff right here, which, hang on, I'll do it a little differently here so you guys can see it. This stuff is fantastic. I pretty much wash brushes in between every show and in between any painting. And your stuff will last almost forever as long as you take, you don't beat your brushes up too much.
Yeah, I use the exact same thing, but I'm using like Amazon, like cheap, nameless brushes. Yeah. It's worked for me so far, but as I level up, I want my stuff to as well.
I remember at one point I was trying to paint with watercolor brushes, and it was the worst decision of my life. It was was really young at the time. I didn't know any difference in brushes. Says paintbrush. Looks small enough. Let's do that.
Yeah, I've always had a couple nicer brushes. Like I'll go and buy a good detailed brush, but still. And I'll probably still use my crappy brushes for a lot of the painting.
A lot of my crappier brushes wind up getting used for later on. I save them, as they wear out. I don't just throw them away. I wind up using them for weathering brushes.
Weathering, dry brushing.
Yeah.
Craft, because I do a lot of, crafting and terrain and dioramas. I'm not going to use my good brushes on that.
I'm big on terrain.
It's actually what really it's what I started with. That was mini, so. I don't make much anymore because I don't really have a reason to, but the monthly competition that I host, I make a trophy every month in theme. So I basically make stuff along with everybody else, and then I give it away to the winner. So I love that because it gives me an excuse to make a diorama and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. How's that going to work for Neon World? Or Neon Dimension?
I don't know. I'll be making a neon. You'll just have to see.
Oh man.
We actually haven't even announced the theme, so the few of you who are hearing it right now are the first ones to hear it. So.
Oh. We got an exclusive announcement here, folks.
Yep. I will announce officially on Instagram tomorrow. And then we do, the coming Saturday, we do how do I say this? After the previous month ends, we do our judging, and then we host a live stream where we showcase all of the entrants and then announce the winners during the live stream.
I love it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. In the past, I've always done it on Instagram, but this will be the first one we do on Twitch. So I can have more than one of the judges. We'll kind of have a little panel with us.
Oh, nice. Nicely done.
Yeah. Should be fun. I really like showing off everybody's stuff. They work really hard on it all month long, and just need to give them extra attention and shout outs. Very much fun. But I'll probably paint a baby Cthulhu for it.
A baby Cthulhu sounds good. That's perfect for neon craziness.
That or my neon elf that I designed. Or not neon elf, but cyberpunk elf. I made her on Hero Forge. Because you never...
Yep.
You've seen a cyberpunk elf. What do they look like in that world?
And all you gotta do is look up Shadowrun and you can see what they look like.
Oh, see, I don't know that.
Yeah, there's cyberpunk elves in
Sweet.
Shadowrun.
Well, mine has a mohawk.
So do they in...
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, that's hilarious. I'm like making something on my own. I've never seen... That's weird.
It definitely exists.
See, nothing's original anymore. I think I'm being clever and... Nope. I'm done. But I think a lot of... See, also when I do it, because Cyberpunk is very... Somebody suggested that we do a Cyberpunk theme. I thought, no, because that's really limiting to... Because I like to host, have a theme that anybody can enter.
The wider the theme, the better the opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, like, I want people that have only D&D style, like Reaper Minis, and also people that only play 40k to all, and not have to buy anything in order to enter the competition. They can if they want to, but I want the theme to be broad enough that people can enter with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Neon Dimension, you could go Cyberpunk if you wanted to, future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever you want.
I don't see a reason why they wouldn't.
The current theme is aquatic, which means anything to do with water. And, like, literally anything. It could be a water genasi, it could be a pond, it could be Cthulhu, whatever. I need a mermaid in the ocean.
Mermaids are great. Underwater miniatures are fantastic for neon.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, people.
Hint, hint. Mm-hmm. Show you my piece. Actually, yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab it to show you guys.
Okay, cool. I look forward to it. Let's see here what we got out there in chat today. So
this is the trophy that I will be giving away this month to the winner. So
oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, so she's a Reaper, Metal Reaper Mini, but the rest I did. Oh, yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah, thank you. So I do something similar to that every month.
Mm-hmm. Pink insulation foam or high density insulation foam is always a good choice.
Oh yeah, gotta do the XPS. Most of the stuff I learned was from Black Magic Craft, so it's my favorite. There's so many good channels out there though for that stuff.
So I learned by making the terrain for Games Workshop in a lot of places and having to go through a lot of, they do a little bit of training there. It's been known to happen. But even then, you still find out, like, even though, Games Workshop is supposed to be the font of all hobby knowledge, all of us there are constantly learning from other people, and, their hobby knowledge as well just adds to the stable of cool things. Yeah. Like when they came out with their vac-formed craters, they had these really cool plastic craters they made.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody took that, added some leaves and some water effects and turned them into swamps, bogs. Sweet. And you're just like, that's amazing. Completely changed the concept of how that could be used.
How many you got there? 20?
I have 14 of these bad boys. I'm on number 9. I'm about to do number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. It's all flesh all the time here today, folks. What about you? How's the progress being made on Sarah Connor?
We got most of the base, all the base codes down. I just now am gonna touch up because I am sloppy. And then probably slap a wash on her because I love my washes.
When you when did you know you were hooked on painting?
I was hooked on the hobby in general immediately. Crafting aspect immediately, like created the space, bought all the stuff. I bought my Proxxon hot wire cutter like instantly. The minis though, it did take longer. I think when I knew I was hooked when my roommate moved out, took his paints with him, and I was like, crap. So I bought, a huge set, and from that moment on, I've kind of never stopped painting. I've painted almost every day since then. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When were you, how old were you basically when you got hooked on games?
Well, I didn't, like I said, I didn't play D&D until about 2.5 years ago, and that was an instant love affair. One time in, and I'm like, where have you been all my life? How have I made it this long? Mm-hmm. As far as gaming, I mean, I'm a Nintendo kid. So for gaming, like video games, I grew up with NES, so I think it's in our blood, right? Uh-huh. Board games, I grew up with Hero Quest.
Yeah.
I actually have it sitting right here.
Really?
Yeah, no shit. I have yet to decide if I'm going to paint it or not, but here you go. The whole thing. Original. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad and I used to play, so my dad was a super nerd who read me, the Lord of the Rings and stuff. But yeah, we used to play that all the time. So I think that was my first experience with RPG board game style.
Is that where you think you get your nerd genes from?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, my mom is nothing alike in that way. She respects and appreciates that I do all this stuff, but not into it at all. Not in the least. Yeah, kid for sure. Horror movies, sci-fi, fantasy, all of that stuff. What I like about nerddoms is like there's so much Venn diagram of crossover within all the nerd stuff.
There is, thankfully. But even then, there's still people who, you know, they just don't do certain things.
Yes.
Um,
But like that's what's cool about this hobby, the painting, and that it covers so many different styles of games, or not even gaming. You could just like to paint. You could just be on that side of it. But like we all have something in common, you know. But you get exposed to other things through it, and you know, there's the people that only paint their 40K because they want to play 40K. They're not really into painting. There's the people that are really just into painting and like painting miniature, etc., etc.
yeah, I mean,
Maybe both.
that is going to happen.
How long have you been painting?
Ooh, painting well or painting?
Both. How about both? Always both.
So I've been painting since I was like, I've been making models and stuff since I was like 10. So I started on plastic, you know, tanks and jets, stuff like that, and I just enjoyed it, but I wasn't necessarily good at it. There was a lot of things that, I mean, I could assemble them just fine, no worries. But I did have some challenges when I was doing things with, you know, making the paint realistic and stuff like that. And that was back in the days of using testers and enamels and stuff like that, because that's what was intended for those models.
Mm-hmm.
But those, you know, there's a lot of techniques they don't teach you about testers and enamels and stuff like that. And then, like one day in 1987, 86, I picked up Rogue Trader and a bunch of miniatures from a hobby store in Arkansas. I was like one of like the few people who did. And I think my first Space Marines that I got were the 30-man box set of Space Marines, and I tried doing it in enamels. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't know any better, you know. And I didn't start to get good at painting, and I won't even say good, but passable, until I got into my 20s, really. I mean, I got okay in my teens, but I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't bother learning the science. And then in Chicago, I walked into the Chicago Battle Bunker one day. I had come home from a deployment, basically a trip, and was in Chicago where I lived, and was spending some time there before I went back out. And I walked in and said, "Hey, what's this all about? Oh my gosh, I haven't seen all this stuff in forever." And the next thing I know, I've got a Space Marine Battle Company, and I'm building it right there in the store.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
by day 2. Yeah. Day 1, I picked up a little this, a little that, read some books. Day 2, I have a Space Marine Battle Company.
Yeah. I just think it forever grows too. Like,
Yeah.
question for me: what is my favorite piece that I've ever done? She's in the other room, but it's a Artisan Guild mini, which they are some of my very favorite sculptors, or sculptor, plural. I mean single. She's big. She's an Artemis. Supposed to be Artemis, but I painted her as a neon dimension elf. So she's purple skin with like pink hair, and I just adore her, and I spent the longest on her, and she's my favorite.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I love her.
I think you showed that earlier, didn't you?
Did I?
Or you showed an Artemis miniature. I don't know that
Oh,
it was painted though.
Artemis. Well, we had a mythology themed competition a few months ago, and got me kind of back into the Greek mythology, which I was very much into as a kid. I'd have to leave again if I was to go grab her, but yeah, But there's also like those other ones where I don't know if you guys have this, but there'll be like one mini where I know I leveled up. Like it's the obvious, like I've improved mini. Where the other ones it's minuscule. Sometimes I feel like I've digressed as a painter. You know, it just isn't going right. But then there's those ones where you're just like, yeah, like it just flows and it comes out awesome, and you like feel like something clicked. You know, so those are kind of special to me too.
Yeah.
Or on a level.
got a few of those. I think those are an important part when you can see that you've gotten past your plateauing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Zombie Pirate Gaming. Good to see you.
Oh, hello. Yeah, the stand-up. Yeah, exactly. The leveling up. Because the plateauing can be really a bummer. It can feel like quite a bummer, I think, sometimes when you forget that that's just part of the process.
Yeah.
And
Well,
sometimes
just the miniature doesn't need that next level for what you're working on yet to figure it out, and then sometimes it's about solving that problem when you're trying to figure out how you're going to paint it to get it the way you want it to. Like that Inquisitor I painted last week. That miniature is 10 years old. It was one of the limited edition Inquisitor models. That's known as the Van Helsing Inquisitor. And it had been primed for, I think 11 years. And finally I got to the point where, I think I figured out what I want to do with this, and I did it right there. Boom.
Well, that makes me feel better, because there's definitely minis that, they're just still sitting there, because I'm not quite sure what I want.
Oh, I've got miniatures way older than that this time. So the secret is as long as you have unpainted miniatures, you'll still be alive.
I've heard that. Can't die till they're done.
That's correct. That's the secret. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, I'm quite sloppy today. That's okay. Let that wash dry.
I have faith in you.
Thanks. Somebody needs to. Unpainted minis are the hobbyist. Yeah, well, I think, I have Abaddon. He's sitting here. He's
Abaddon.
Abaddon.
Yeah, Abaddon.
Abaddon. Nobody's ever corrected me before, and we've had full streams about him.
That's all right. Everybody knows what you're talking about.
I actually had somebody come on when I built him, and he used to work for Games Workshop too, and give all the lore to everybody while I was building him.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know what I want to do with him. I can't do him like anybody else.
He was one of the four Mournival of Horus himself.
Yes. Somebody just gave me that just because.
That's a great mini.
It is. It's complicated. There's a lot going on.
Blacks and golds is typical of the Horus.
Yeah, see, that's typical. I am not typical. That's the thing. I'm not painting Games Workshop with any prior lore in my head or anything.
Yeah.
Model, and it's probably gonna have.
Well, try to imagine Sauron's eye on his shoulder. Everywhere you see the eye symbol, the Eye of Horus, paint Sauron's eye. There's your neon right there.
Wait, you have about 20 minis you've never started painting? 20? I have I don't even know.
20.
More than two.
Those are rookie numbers, Monk. You gotta put some more numbers up. Try getting in the hundreds or thousands of miniatures. Then you're.
I actually don't know. I don't want to know.
Paul, that's a good way to make sure you die. You got to get more minis. Someone might accidentally paint those miniatures for you. And then where are you going to be?
Well, God, the hobby community on Instagram is so generous too that I'm constantly being given and sent minis all the time.
Yeah.
Because people do have such huge collections, and they're like, I'm never going to paint this. And they just send me, you're like, I want a orc. And they send you a box of 20 minis. You're like, cool. I don't know if we're going to paint that. And especially when you also do commission work, it's like your stuff gets set aside longer, and then
Yep.
which is great. I mean, it's fine. It's just and then retail therapy is a thing. I definitely might go on Etsy and start shopping when I. Oh man.
Retail therapy. Oh, that's good.
It's real.
Oh. Hey, Monk, you got this, or do I need to take care of it? Someone's about to get the band hammer.
Yeah, I had a bunch of those yesterday when none of my mods were in.
Just take care of it. Boom. Done.
Bye. You won't be missed. What am I looking for? You don't use bases in your paint?
I do, but when you're mass painting, grabbing this and sticking it on there and then swapping them out over and over again is just a pain in the butt.
Like me. You have them all on their own craft bottles. Look at, I mean, seriously, like.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, like I can hold it by the base and be okay. So, when I'm doing this in mass, it's not usually that big of a deal. When I start to do like finer details and stuff is then when I have that challenge.
Yeah, I don't like to. Breaking minis is quite the pastime for me.
Breaking?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm seriously a bull in a china shop. It's a terrible hobby for that. Constantly. Actually, yeah, so I don't know if you can see this, but this mermaid has a demonette claw for a hand.
Pull that up. Yeah.
Because I broke off her arm one too many times and lost it. So she got a demonette claw instead.
So you switched to pinning it?
No, I just lost it. Like it just disappeared. And who should work on those? I just was being a klutz that day and just kept knocking it off. And who's she? And this, no, that's glued on and it's not going to come off now that she's not being messed with anymore. And pinning doesn't, I don't really understand this pinning business when the things are that tiny. I don't understand how that's even, and especially on a metal mini, like how I'm going to drill a hole in something that freaking small.
So you use a very small pin vise.
I know, but I just...
Do you have a pin vise that small?
No. And I think that's just it. Like, when does the hobby ever stop with having to buy new stuff for it? Never.
Hopefully never, because that would suck, because I always want to find new stuff.
See,
But
I don't like buying tools. It's not my thing.
Actually, I haven't had to buy new tools for quite some time. So, but I picked up a lot of stuff over the years. I can pull out. I'll show you an example here. If you've already seen all this stuff, then I won't kill you with it. But this might help some of the other people watching, so bear with me. So there's a lot of different pin vices out there. You know, you can get the ginormous one from Citadel. This thing is pretty big. Or you can get these tiny ones as well, and you can pick these up at any craft store or hobby store, right? And then they both hold tiny bits as well as large bits. So let me get out both of them here. I've got two sets of. Yeah. So I have a very tiny one here that you can see, and then you can also see this one, which is quite larger. So depending on the model, but this should handle more than any tiny models you've got, right? So, and then you can get even smaller bits, and I have them in here because you keep them in these containers, you'll lose them. That work out really well, and from there it just sit there and you spend that time just working it on the model slowly. Sorry if I just reviewed something you already know, Dark Elf Girl.
No, you're good. I appreciate it. I eventually will get there. I'm very resistant to do things in my own weird pace. It's part of my deal. Honestly, I don't use a wet palette. How do you feel about that?
So I use wet pellets and I don't use wet pellets. It's tools in the toolbox. So like all these tools that I have, like there's tons of stuff in here. I mean, can I give you an example? There's yet another cutting board. I have different, razor saws.
Oh yeah.
I've got hand drills for cranking on larger projects. But I think some of the more interesting stuff I've got in here is some of these things, like this giant punch, right? And I can rotate to get different sizes on it.
Cool.
And the thing about it is it lets me put punches into plastic card that allow me to put giant rivet holes in it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I've got this one, which you think by looking at it, it's like the typical hole punch, but if you look really closely, you'll see how tiny the little peg is. Mm-hmm. So you can put tiny little holes that look like rivet holes or screw plates on your minis when you're doing tanks or other things.
Thank you.
And you can even do that to a plastic miniature, not just a plastic sheet, but plastic sheets are really where it's at. But I've picked these up over, 20, 30 years now. And as long as you take good care of your tools, they'll last forever. And so they're always there when you need them. And I've got other sets in here too, another toolbox the same size for other tools. And I think I've had every tool in there for at least, 10 to 15 years. So.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, once you have it, you have it. And
Yeah.
I'll get that. I haven't been in the hobby very long, and I've already been on stop buying, so it's like priorities,
Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to prioritize that stuff too. Like, what are you working on the most?
Me?
No, I mean like when you're making that decision, you're deciding that based on what you're working on the most. What's going to make your hobby better or easier at that moment? If you're not doing a lot of armor plates, those hole punches don't really matter. I was doing, 10 rhinos and 2 predators for every battle company, so I had a ton of armor. If I wanted to do extra scratch-built plates on them, I needed to have those hole punches.
Yeah. I don't know, plus like moving to streaming, then you gotta buy all the stuff for that. So then that like becomes your hobby purchases for the
Yeah, it's great to get supporters who help with that, because all that support from bits donations and subs and all that other stuff is huge. And all of that for us, 100% of it goes back into improving the stream. So. Same for you.
Yeah, I'm so new to it. It's not quite there, but it will be. Hopefully. Lost detail. Well, like my webcam crapped out on me after 4 uses.
Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of did. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm buying another one. And I think it was just a fluke, and it was actually not the camera. No, it was, even when the audio was turned off, it was causing audio issues if it was plugged in. So everyone was getting this horrendous feedback that I couldn't hear. No matter, and I had somebody else, like one of my friends who's very techie, use it at his house and video call me, and it was doing it there too, so it wasn't.
Oh, wow. That had to suck.
It was just annoying because we're like, what is happening? Like, why? And like, we spent like a good 20 minutes on my stream trying to figure out, changing audio inputs and output, all this stuff. And then in the end, I just unplugged it and it's instantly stopped. We're like, oh, okay.
Sounds like the mic on the camera wasn't deactivating.
Yeah, it was just silly, so. But in the end, it is what it is, so. I think that's expected that something's going to go wrong.
And look at how well you've recovered.
I just did. I mean, my last stream was my first one. The new one. It's better. So.
I did watch that, by the way.
Yes. So, skin painting tutorial?
Yeah. Yeah. I got to keep up with you. I got to figure out what you're doing so I know what to talk about.
Yeah, that's having a tutorial on. That's Goldfinch Minis, by the way, is somebody else you might love to talk to. She's brilliant.
Happy to do it. Please arrange an introduction. Happy to have her on.
She has like Patreon for, I'm sorry, not a paid, it's like free, whatever. She does tutorials on there, 'cause she's kind of going for golden demon level painting.
Mm-hmm.
She also just throws out like quick tabletop minis too in between, but she's brilliant and kind, and yeah, so I'm gonna continue to have her on doing tutorials on my show.
So we do Patreon paint plans. So if you're watching how we paint stuff, like there'll be a paint plan for all these zombies we're doing, for example.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
That's smart.
yeah, yeah, and there's actually a specific tier for it, for the paint, the miniatures and model stuff, and that tier directly supports this type of programming. And then we've got tiers for the TTRPG stuff. We've got stuff for Dungeon Masters.
See, I don't know anything about any of that yet. I haven't figured out I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just talking into a camera and painting minis for right now. It's fine by.
I think that's kind of what we do.
So you do, right, but there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff you're doing.
Well, I'm running a bigger. I mean, like you're focused on minis, and I'm doing a whole lot of stuff. So it's just a different thing. I mean, like there's there's more probably similarities than differences in what we do.
Eventually, I do want to have how do I say, 4 of us, 4 female hobbyists that are all very close friends, and one wants to learn how to be a DM. She's teaching herself, but the funny thing, she's never played.
I will help you guys with that if you want.
Yeah, well, I want us to stream it on my channel, just because I think it'll be hilarious having a bunch of noobs. I'm the only one who's played before.
Mm-hmm.
3 people have never played, one of them being the DM. I think it'll be hilarious, plus we're all cool hobbyists, so I think it'll be really funny, and they've agreed to it, so we'll see. We'll see. It should be interesting.
Yeah. I'd produce that show.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She's so funny. She's such a perfectionist that she's been reading all the books for months and months, and I'm like, look, you need to just run us a simple dungeon one shot so we can you need to actually practice what you're reading so you can see where you don't even know what you're doing. Like, there's no understanding of the game at all besides just reading it. I think she needs to play. So I'm working on that.
I think playing is very helpful when you're first learning the game. I mean, yeah, you can just start as a dungeon master, and that's perfectly optional. But seeing like when I was playing Dungeons & Dragons, no one showed us how to play. We had to figure it out strictly from the rule books back in those days. And there was a lot of difficulties in understanding what was normal and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of things that are different now with playing, not just because we've grown up and seen how other people play, but now there's just like a different philosophy on it, which I love. I love the new philosophy for Dungeons & Dragons, which is, everybody's rooting for everybody, which is great. But I can tell you, if you play a game a few times with a good DM, at least you know what good can look like.
Yeah, but I mean, just also having it applied practically.
Mm-hmm. Seeing it.
She's gonna run our game and then goes, oh wow, I really need to read up more on this stuff, or whatever, just to see how it actually plays out on the table is a whole lot different than.
So we've been asked to do DM clinics and stuff like that. Maybe it's time we set one up.
Yeah.
I'd run that for you guys if you want.
That'd be amazing. Talk to them. One of them, Amy, who was in here earlier she's one of them. These girls have all played 40K or AOS, and
would they all have the painter background?
Yes, they're all painters. They're all.
No, I mean in the Dungeons & Dragons game, would they all have the painter background?
Oh,
clan crafter, clan artisan.
No, I have a feeling Amy will be a murder hobo for one.
Okay.
I suspect it. I think we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see. Chloe's she's 40K background, so I'll be curious to see what, she's not fantasy at all, so it'll be really interesting to see how that translates to D&D for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Monk, no worry. I had it covered. Monk's bringing back he's back online now. And Monk's bringing up a really good point is like, you know, golden rule, have fun. Kind of an important distinction in terms of gameplay.
Which is also, it's supposed to be fun, and I am all about the rule of cool for that reason too.
Yeah.
Like, it works and everybody's happy and can keep enjoying themselves, that's what matters.
Kind of a critical factor. With all those things in mind, like one of the biggest things that we do is we just, you know, kind of talk people through some of the basic mechanics that may not make sense. And even then, like, I still talk to people who are better DMs than me, and ask them for stuff. And like, I just finally really got a better handle on lair actions and legendary actions for bad guys. And got a really good handle on that, and that'll be reflected in our next few games as well.
I think, yeah, we're all always improving. It's not,
Yeah.
It's definitely a game you learn overnight. By any means. Or master overnight. Yeah, no, I agree. Great tip for new DMs that I give is find an existing module or one-shot material. That's basically what I've been trying to tell her.
I recommend Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Okay.
That is a great multi-session game. You can start with a single session and still have fun.
Cool. Yep, that sounds good. Do you prefer pre-made modules or?
I do either or. I'm system agnostic on that stuff. The main reason is you know, I'll take an existing module and reskin it, and you won't even know that you were playing the same module twice.
I have played only in Homebrew and only one module.
Which one?
Horde of the Dragon Queen.
Horde of the Dragon Queen's a fun one.
We didn't finish. I mean, I left the group.
Storm King's Thunder is really good too.
I wanted to play Curse of Strahd, which I'm about to play. What's the other dragon one?
I've got a West Coast show potentially that might be that.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're in talks. We're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
I'm about to join. I am going to play in a local game that I can't think of the module right now. It's just completely escaped my brain. 1988. Yeah, you know you're an older D&D person if you say GM. All the noobs say DM. All noobs say DM.
They were always DMs. So GMs are when it's not Dungeons and Dragons typically. So Game Master is a.
You called it Rise of T. No. Yeah, maybe. I know we're gonna face a dragon like right away. I was asked to paint it, which is why, spoiler alert, when you're helping, you have to know some of the stuff that's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know actually. Can't think of it. Yeah, no, I don't. I think just because I was born into D&D through Homebrew, I have a special place for that.
My kids are, great. They try to explain things to me, and I'm like, you think you know Dungeons and Dragons? I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't know what six-sided dice were until I was a man. They were all just polyhedral to me.
Are you a dice goblin?
I'm a dice elf.
Selective?
I can be. For being a DM, as a DM, you kind of have to be a dice goblin because you have to have enough dice.
Right.
Especially if you teach new players, you have to have enough dice for everybody.
Yeah. Fair.
Just kind of part of the thing that you have to do when you're dicing on the regular. But I'm more of for me personally, when I'm playing, which is nice when you can get that in. Hint, for anybody who wants to, DM for me.
Classic DM struggle.
Yeah. I think the big challenge for that is that you if you have too many dice, it can become a distraction when you're a player. As a DM, you just have to have volume in some cases.
So I have a lot of dice. However, I have certain sets for each character. They have their own dice. So if it's that game, then I get their dice box with their dice that match them.
Because it's a fashion thing.
It is for me. I'm very matchy-matchy. I'm a very visual person. Of course I am, right? So my ranger wears black and has red hair, so she has red and black dice. Like, it just makes sense to me that the dice always match them. So
that works.
Yeah, and they all get their own little box. And
when are we going to see a purple-haired?
I know. Well, that's the funny thing is I just went purple. I've been red-haired for 15 years, probably.
Oh, yeah? Well, the purple's working. Thank you.
It's getting there. It's still not quite as purple as I want, but it's been a weird struggle. Everyone knows about my Instagram. People know because I constantly talk about it in my stories. Me and my struggle for getting purple hair.
Purple hair struggle is real.
It's real, folks. Yeah, I guess maybe my next build should have purple hair. Now you got me all thinking, what's it gonna be?
Well, that's pretty neon color if you do it right.
Yes, here's the thing though, I've never ever quote unquote completed a game. They've always ended unexpectedly, so I'm one of those who's never gotten to like see my character through, so I revisit them. There's only 4 I play. Not done with them. Like, I don't understand how people can just ditch their characters. I get so attached to them, I need to...
Yeah, I don't know how they can do that either. I've always been a consistent player guy, you know. But I typically set up games that last a little bit longer where I can, you know.
Well, all these campaigns I were in were supposed to last longer, but life, adulting, blah, blah, blah.
There's ways.
No, I literally had like a fall. My group broke up. Like, literally, we like broke up, and it was 3 campaigns within one group of people.
Yeah.
And 2 had a falling out, so just the whole thing. Like, I lost 3 games I played in, just like that.
Oh, that sucks.
So.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's all right. And then my last like campaign, the DM just was like one day just deleted our Discord and was like, I'm done. We were like, wait, what?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. And then he like came back and we started a different campaign. I'm like, what happened to the old campaign? Why are we in a new campaign? What happened? I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm playing with the wrong people. That's what it sounds like as I say this out loud.
I didn't want to say it. A lot of it has to do with the caliber of people and what their motivations are and where they're at. You know, I mean, like you're getting involved now in the communities where you can get those long games in. And when everyone's really chill and having a great time, it's real easy to keep wanting to play.
Zombie Pirate says that he's, after 15 years, never had a game concisely finished. Yeah, it sucks, dude.
I've had some finish. I've had more than a few finish.
Just for the record, Monk's games, I don't mind if you say GM. I just have noticed in the people that I interact with, it's usually people who've been playing since pre-5e that often say GM. In my world, anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Or they know other systems, because there's other things like Master of Arcane Lore. There's Storyteller. It just depends on what system you're in. Well, the wash didn't seem to do a dang thing. I love washes.
You too, but when they don't do anything, you're like, wait, what?
They're cheating in a bottle.
Oh yeah, well, liquid talent, as they say.
Yeah.
I don't stop with them though. I don't think I changed how I use washes. When you first start, right, you just throw in a wash, dry brush, that's it. That's what you do. Not now. No, I do a wash and then basically go right back through, and I only use it for the deepest crevices.
Yep, washes are great for shading. But I don't think I could just stop with a wash anymore, ever.
Mm-mm.
I'm actually washing now, matter of fact. So.
I'm again, just go back to loving contrast paints, is I've replaced a lot of the times I would have used a wash with contrast, actually.
Yeah. And washes for me are the thing I actually like to do last and at the end of the night usually, because they take longer to dry. And here on the show, when I do a wash, I actually have a tiny little fan that I turn on, so it's drying the washes out while I'm working on other things.
Yeah, I totally have a little fan. People are always like, I hate waiting for paint to dry. I'm like, what do you mean? Put it in front of a fan. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But also, here's the thing. I'm always painting multiple things, so it's fine. I'm like, I'll just set this aside and paint this while that dries. So. And I don't mean multiple like your batch painting. I mean like just different movies.
Yeah, I could say that Richard, one of our most technically astute guys, who's also on the production team, is probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to us. He creates stuff as needed as he sees that it gets needed. So.
What is GURPS?
GURPS is Generic Universal Roleplay System. So theoretically it's balanced so that whatever you play with it, it'll work. And then there's different like sub-books that balance out everything. So you can play like sci-fi, fantasy, cyberpunk, apocalypse, whatever eventual, cool thing you want to do, it's there.
Can you explain further? I still don't know it. I don't understand.
Imagine a game system that's basically built on a basic mechanic. So like, it works the same way whether you're, generally speaking, it works the same way whether you're playing a zombie apocalypse game, a sci-fi game, or a fantasy magic using game, right? But there's only minor nuances in each of the ways it can play. And there's minor books that use the same mechanics. So if you learn one way to play with the fantasy stuff, you can easily shift gears and do the sci-fi stuff with only minor adjustments.
Cool. Gotcha. Yeah, that's, as much as I'm a sci-fi lover first, I would love to play in a futuristic sci-fi setting.
You wouldn't?
I would love to, or a post-apocalyptic kind of more.
Oh, there's plenty of those available. So, modern, you've got World of Darkness, which does some pretty cool stuff. There's Blades in the Dark for, Victorian fantasy in a completely different world that's very scary. There's, oh my goodness, for sci-fi, there's Shadowrun, if you want that cyberpunk feel that we were talking about. Hey chat, what else we got out there? Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, from Chaosium. There's Delta Green.
I almost played in that game and that just fell apart too. I would love to play in Call of Cthulhu.
We've done a few one-shots with it. We can invite you in if you want to try.
That'd be cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to play that. I think that's what it is. I want to play more horror. One of my old, we're still friends, but he used to DM one-shots for us when we were like not feeling like playing the campaign, and they were always horror one-shots, always, and I loved them. They're because I'm a horror fan. Hello, I'm wearing the Thing t-shirt.
Oh, The Thing is one of my favorite scary movies of all times.
It is my favorite scary movie.
That's why we play Among Us like on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's
because that's basically based on The Thing.
It's the best. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. Not just horror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like on our Discord, we have like community movie night and community game night and stuff. So Jackbox games and Among Us, and one of the levels in Among Us looks like kind of like the frozen Arctic area in the Thing.
Sweet. I have a Jack Burton. I'm not Jack Burton. Sorry, that's Big Trouble
Jack
in Little
Burton.
China.
Big Trouble in Little China.
That's one of my other favorite movies. I love Carpenter and Kurt Russell together.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Necrotic and Child's metal minis. So I'm gonna make like a diorama from the thing, and I just haven't quite sorted it. But they have their flamethrowers out, so I need to do like a probably outside when they're burning one. You know, I'm pretty stoked about it. They're amazing.
I'm curious. Was the thing an abyssal creature or was it an alien? What do you think?
Alien.
Did you ever see the prequel?
Yep.
What'd you think?
I loved it, but there's a big but. I'll get to the but in a second. I thought it was, for a prequel made so much after the fact, it was a lovely love letter to the original. They really were true to what I think Carpenter's feel was, and so seamless, and it was so cool to just see this story that we've always been hinted at and we got glimpses of. And they put so much freaking care into making it. Like, they went through the original one and did like measurements based on how tall Kurt Russell is with like the setting when they're walking around the Norwegian camp, just to make the set exactly the same, and then write the story to explain things that are in the
camp,
you know, and to explain why that person is like laying there, or, you know, is frozen in his chair with blood dripping out of him, like what happened. I just thought it was brilliant on that level. But I am all about practical effects, and I think that's one of the things that makes the thing stand out and still to this day look incredible. And when that movie was made, it was made in a not the best CG time period.
Well, it didn't exist. CG wasn't there. I mean, like...
No, I mean the new one, the prequel.
Oh, really?
They should not have done CG. And the worst part about it is, if you are a nerd like me and have to seek out every video ever made about this on YouTube, they did do them all in practical effects. They completely made everything. They even filmed it, and the studio was like, nah, and they went over everything and put CG on top of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And was it worse?
Yeah. You can tell. It doesn't matter how brilliant computer graphics are. It doesn't matter. They're always going to be technically flat. They just are. It doesn't matter how good it looks, in my opinion. I can always tell because they're flat. They don't have life to them. Whereas, you know, it's like why we're all obsessed with Star Wars and Baby Yoda is because he's an actual thing that we can see. He's a real thing.
You realize a lot of the Baby Yodas were CGI that you thought that was a real thing.
Of course, and
That's
they
how
mixed
good
it.
it's
Why with mixing?
That alien puppet got completely covered up with glowy...
Yes! He knows what I'm talking about.
Squares, yeah.
In the end, in the chip at the end, yes.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
The great part about zombie minis is you can just cover the whole darn thing in soft tone wash and it looks muddied and filthy and it still pulls out all the details and it works.
Yes, Zombie Pirate, we are on the same wavelength here
Yeah.
about this. But at the same time, because that's like studio's fault. That's not the maker of the movie. So I still thought it was good. I thought the story was well done, and I thought it worked well adding in a few female characters, because I mean, I consider myself somewhat of a feminist, but I don't have this thing where I need a woman to be in the movie, and I thought the choice of having an entirely male cast in the original one was brilliant, and it was intentional, and I thought it really worked.
At the time, remember at the time when it was made and what era it was in.
But that's not why he did it, because that's the thing. John Carpenter's all about having ladies in his movie. He always has some
Yeah,
women.
but historically.
But he chose it in that one because men are supposed to be, you know, I don't know,
Protectors.
not scared.
Yeah.
And like
yeah. They were
watch
very
the-
scared in that movie.
terrified, and so it watched, to have this entire male cast be put into that scenario, I think it just worked a lot better. Whereas in the prequel, they added female, it worked, and they were trying something different. That's there should be a mix of men and women. Normally there would be, but it's a brilliant film, and I've watched it probably 30 times, the original, and I can't get over it. I can't get over it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, damn, this is good. should make a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Out there, it's my turn, I think. And there's actually continued stories too. There's graphic novels that continue the story. By the way.
Zombie Pirate Gaming, I agree. Hold on a minute here. I'm gonna allow that message because I know it wasn't intended to be aggressive. The auto mod caught something Zombie Pirate Gaming. I'm gonna agree. Undead minis are great because you can lean into the mess ups on the mini and make it work. I will say that these Zombicide minis don't have much in the way of mess ups. They're really well done.
Yeah, they are really nice, actually.
Yeah. These are the ones from the Black Plague set. So it's the medieval Zombicide.
I just have Walk of the Dead and Toxic Crowd.
Toxic Crowd?
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, let's see. I hope this doesn't all collapse underneath my stack of many minis. Oh boy.
You saw it here. Is this where where the Zombicide boxes attack Dark Elf Girl?
It's these guys. So they're the ones that have like spikes on them and all sorts of extra shit happening.
Oh yeah.
Clearly I have not touched them. For like a miniature market, like clearance, and like I have to have them. Being used very loosely.
Speaking of miniature market,
Yes.
I'm gonna just go ahead and give them a little bit of a free bit of press here. Big thanks to Miniature Market for being one of the sponsors of our upcoming May charity. Miniature Market is supplied some prize support to be given away during the charity stream, May 15th, 16th. Actually, it's May 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. But you'll be able to get some of those prizes watching That Mini's Mate Show during the charity.
They're great. They've given gift certificates for my competition.
Oh yeah.
They're very generous with the community. And like they have everything on there. I think it's a pretty good fallback store for sure. I don't know. They have everything. Games Workshop, Raper, WizKids, all of it.
Yeah, they got it.
Infinity, everything.
They do.
Everything. Everything but 3D print.
Don't tempt them.
I'm sure that'll happen sooner than later. Modern zombies. Well, I mean, these on the site ones are modern. Oh, he said, Zombie Pirate said, I need me some modern zombies at some point. There seems to be a lack of any real good STL packs for printing them. Oh, so you just mean 3D printed ones. Okay, well.
I'm trying to think where there might be a ton of modern ones. I mean, to be honest with you, the price for the Zombicide stuff is actually pretty darn good for how many you get.
Saying, you get a whole set for not much.
High quality, plus you get some heroes and some cardboard tiles you can use for either playing the game or, creating backdrops and scenery for other things.
Well, these ones are they're just the minis. They don't come with anything. They're just like expansions. So
yeah.
You're not looking to play the game, which it is very fun. I have a friend that has pretty much backed every single Kickstarter of theirs.
They had a Wild West one come out not that long ago that was pretty cool.
I'm sure he has it. These aren't on sprue.
No, none of them came on sprue. At least none of the ones I've ever had. They have another box set that came out that's called Massive Darkness. That was great because the price for that, plus all the orcs you got, all the dwarves you got, because they're like, you could paint them up as regular dwarves or you could paint them up like Durgar, deep dwarves. And they're phenomenal.
Yeah, they're all one piece. Yes, yeah. Did they not? Yeah, well, I'm not going to show them again because my stack wants to fall over, but Yeah, they all come like what he's holding right there is what you get out of the box.
I'll shift to a slightly different camera here, so you can see. So like they basically come like this. They're single piece minis, and they can be like this, or they can be like this, or they can be some other stand up. Right? They come with a ton of these. The walking zombies as well. So I gotta paint those. That's the last batch. That's gonna be huge because that's gonna be like 2 different sets of batch painting because I think there's like 40 miniatures there for the walking zombies.
Yeah, and they're very detailed for quote unquote cheap minis.
Mm-hmm. And they're not like cheap as in like poorly done. They're just not expensive.
Inexpensive, yes, I should say. I said cheap and I mean expensive.
They have a ton of detail on them. They just work really good.
Yeah, I had this idea that I was gonna make a display like diorama with my Escher gangers.
Uh-huh.
Like I painted them very my version of like a Road Warrior world, and I wanted them, but it was gonna be like Road Warrior meets zombie apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
That's really what that's why I bought them. I'm gonna make something with that.
The look that you give when you're just like, yeah, so that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. At some point, that's, the whole shiny hobby ADD.
Okay guys, we're gonna just take a quick 5-minute break, probably not even that long, and refresh our drinks, and then we're gonna come right back. See you in just a few. All right, we're back. Hey guys, good to see everybody still out there. Zombie Pirate, checking you out. Let's get some other music going on here. I think I'm gonna switch. I'm switching back to this. I've got this set of DCMA free music I can use. That's really chill. I think I'm gonna switch off to that.
I'm so stubborn. I listen to my own music and get parts of my thing muted on me. I don't care. I listen to it pretty quiet, but
If they can even hear it in the background, they shut that down.
But that's when I'm streaming to myself. I need my music, so.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned.
Have you ever painted like tanks or anything like that, or it's mostly been tiny stuff? You said, right?
Tiny. No, I do want to get into Gaslands though.
Gaslands?
I haven't done anything with it yet. I used to, like taking it back to our car talk. I love the road. I grew up watching the Road Warrior, Mad Max. I like cars. I like minis. Like, it makes total sense that I would get into Gaslands. If not even to play, just to like make the minis. Yeah, I'm currently I took apart a 68 Mustang. And that's still just a part because, you know, hobby ADD. And I don't have a lot of bits. I don't have a lot of futuristic bits because I usually am on the fantasy side. I mean, I have some Marines and stuff that people send me, but I don't have a lot of stuff to, I guess, mob them with.
You know, that's something I could always use more of is bits.
Milk, yeah, right? I do come home with, oh man, so my 3D printer friend, local guy that I'm playing D&D with him and his wife. 3D printers, they have lots of fails, and to them they're just garbage, but to me, I'm like, how is this a fail? Check it out, like, what the hell?
The Rimaraz front end?
Yeah. All it is there's like maybe a couple little weird things with it that I don't, anyways.
Paint hides all sins.
Or like wings. I'm like, give me your wings. I will drag it. I'll put those on anything. I don't know.
I'll convert the hell out of some stuff with stuff like that. That's a good friend.
I know. And I'll be over there every other week, coming home with some box of stuff. Or like they just do test prints, like this Lord of the Print Dragon is just a test print. There's nothing wrong with it, but he doesn't need it anymore. So I'm telling you guys, make friends with a 3D printer person if you don't have one yourself. And that is definitely not something I have interest in getting into. I think everybody considers it at some point if you're into mini painting, but...
Well, people like the idea of 3D printing until they realize the work of 3D printing.
That's why, I struggle enough with Twitch.
And because I think when a lot of people think it's going to be like, oh, it's like, you know, working a printer at home. Like when I make a color copy of paperwork. It ain't there yet.
No, because even people that are quote-unquote pros really struggle, and they have, weeks where they're shut down because their printers aren't working properly.
Yeah, if your extruder head, if you're using an FDM, fused deposition modeling printer, and your extruder head goes out, you're up a creek.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues.
Or if your print bed gets too hot or too cold, and then it shifts on you, and your print's jacked up.
So many things that go wrong.
Yeah.
Less like printing, more like photo finishing resin. Yes, I think, if you ever worked like in a dark, almost like, do you mean like dark room photo finishing? Yeah, and it's yep.
Photo finishing for resin. Yeah, you can use photo, you can use DLP. I'm more of a laser guy for resin. That's what I prefer. But the other thing about resin is toxic as hell. If you don't want to be touching that liquid resin with your fingers. If you have waste resin, you need to put it out in the sun and let the sun's UV light bake it so it gets solid, because you don't want that getting into the water, because if it gets in the water table, you're screwed. Just a whole bunch of things you don't want to do with that. So you've got to be very careful with resin. There's some great stuff you can do with resin you can't do anywhere else, but at the end of the day, when you're getting rid of your old stuff, you gotta make sure it's solid as a rock before you get rid of it.
I've asked him to save a bunch of scaffolding for me.
Oh yeah, scaffolding.
That's great. See, one man's garbage is another man's treasure. I'm like, that, like, sweet future terrain.
Yeah, I mean that stuff makes great piping. It makes great,
Scaffolding.
scaffolding for real. It makes bars. It makes if you trim it right, it can look like rounds, shell casings for rounds fired.
Yeah, totally. He's like, what, seriously? You want me to say? Yes, seriously, save it. Yes.
Yeah. Someone's like, yeah, PPE. Yeah, you got to have that PPE. Thick rubber gloves when you're going to dispose of it. I mean, admittedly, some of the resin companies have came out with some really great ways to hold the resin to keep you from coming into contact with it while it's being used by the machines, but above and beyond that.
I just don't want the hassle. I'd just rather buy it. Or marry somebody who's super into it and wants to.
Well, I mean, that's a technique. I don't know that I would use that as a reason for marriage, but hey.
Oh no, that's not the main reason, but it would be a bonus, is all I'm saying.
Oh, you're a 3D printer. You're so dreamy.
I'll put that on my dating website, my profile.
Must be a 3D printer?
Yes.
Send picture of 3D printer?
Yes. Not just the printer of prints. I need to see, are you good at it?
Every nerd's dream right there. All the hot chicks dig guys who can 3D print.
How about just be into the hobby in some form? That's kind of...
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it?
But it's just I spend so much time doing it that would be ideal. Maybe I'll have to spend some time doing it. No, it's not mandatory, but it's a bonus.
They do have it in cartridge. They absolutely do have it in cartridge. If you look at the Form 2 or the Form 3, they have it in a cartridge. You can even swap out cartridges so you have different resins in different colors or different resins with different properties. So you could do a rubberized resin, you could do a firm, brittle resin. You can even do a ceramic resin now. That's pretty cool in these cartridges. $6,000 on up. That's the price point on those zombie pirate games.
That's a little more than most people have.
We have an artisan makers channel. If you want to talk 3D printing, that's the place to go on the Discord as well. Now you have a Discord too, don't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really just for the competition and the judges. I've thought about opening it up, though. I want to. More for, like, the entrance. Like, have a few channels for them to interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
All in good time.
Yeah, just make sure you get good admins and get it set up right. That's the only thing you got to do. If you do that, then everything's easy after that.
Yeah, no, one of my judges is already does the Discord shit for me, so runs a few. We're talking about it. I just have to actually think about if I actually want to do that, because it does make more work for me, even if I'm not adminning the actual Discord.
You gotta do it. Yeah, you gotta handle stuff.
Not on Instagram and all that, it's just a whole other aspect. I have a whole other page. I have 2 Instagram pages, and one is solely dedicated to the competition. So it showcases only that, and it's fine. I just, you gotta draw the line somewhere.
There's only so much Dark Elf Girl to go around.
Exactly. Of course, she goes crazy, which is sometimes entertaining, I'm sure, for others too. But like we were talking about, slight introvert stuff. I need time for myself. Yeah, so I've diluted this contrast paint.
Show us.
And I'm using it as a wash. I mean, clearly it's incredibly wet right now, but you can see that it's diluted into a wash, so it's a little bit stronger and it's dark more. So
looks hot. Looks really good.
They're amazing. And they have so many different flesh tones too, and like the leather contrast paint is awesome. Snake bite leather. And yellow is a really hard color to low, shadow.
It's just a hard color, period.
All around, right? Yeah, I did a whole commission of an X-Men board game, which I think 90s style X-Men, all freaking yellow. I just wanted to die by the end. And I love the X-Men, but still, I was like, this is crap. Anyways, long story short, the best wash for yellow is yellow contrast paint, because it's actually got a little hint more of like an orange to it. And if you just keep layering it, it's actually really good for flames too, because the more layers you put on, the more it becomes closer to red. So it's amazing for flames. I'm just plugging contrast like I'm sponsored by them, but
well, it's got a nice depth to it.
Yeah, I love them. I was really resistant. In my mind, they were very cheaty, right? At first, I'm like, that's cheating.
And you realize it's not really cheating, it's more tools in the toolbox.
Exactly. I would never strictly paint a miniature with them, personally, because I'm not just doing tabletop, but...
I might.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for what you're doing right now, I think they'd be brilliant for that.
Well, I mean, in some cases, I've experimented with just painting a miniature, after priming it white with washes and layering it up just to see what it does. That's how you find out about things,
Totally.
That experimentation and the ability to take those risks, which is what allows us to share that stuff with other people, thanks to their support, is a big, huge part of what we do. But I did a rogue miniature, and I just want to see, after I primed it white, if I did nothing but washes on it, what would it look like, and then how many layers would I have to do to achieve an effect that looked good. Turns out it's not very much. The only drawback, washes take forever to dry, so you're waiting between each layer.
Yeah, but like we said, put them in front of the fan.
Well, I do that, plus I grab another miniature.
Exactly.
Start working it,
I'm still gonna do all my highlighting, but just for a nice base coat, I think they're brilliant.
I've had actually, I've got several miniatures that just sit on the side here, and as I'm waiting for certain things to go, if I have a color that needs to go on that miniature, I just add that color to the miniature and then let that dry, and then I go back to the wash, and eventually I get 3 or 4 miniatures that get just painted up just by being done a little piece at a time here and there in between others.
Yep, I do that too. No downtime.
Yeah, reduces it. The efficiency is worth it.
You do the same thing, zombie parrot. Yeah, why not? There are definitely people who just work on a mini, and that's cool. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but I guess if you insist on doing it that way. Well, that's what, most of the last year I finished about one mini a day, and a lot of it had to do with that. They're in all these different stages, so easily finish one a day if you just focus for a minute on one, because they're all in so.
Looks like I'll be 90% done with these today.
Awesome.
Then I'll just do the metals and the highlights. And I've got an axe handle I want to do on these. Oh, the one thing I'm doing at the very end that I'm going to do all of them at once though is they've got this great paint called Glistening Blood Effects paint from the Army Painter. And I'm going to be adding that to these minis as well.
Oh, splatter style? Like toothbrush splattery? Or
no, well, maybe. More like Stipley style. I may do some First, I'm gonna do some practice runs on some 3x5 cards with the paint itself to see how it works, because I've never used it before. But I've been anxious to try it out, and it's been sitting here, and this is like, zombies are the perfect thing for this. Why wouldn't I do that, right?
I love gore on minis.
Yeah,
So
right. And so test a couple things. Like, what's the consistency? How does it dry? What's the look? If I do the spritz off a toothbrush, which I've done quite a bit, especially on scenery, because leaving blood spatters on scenery to tell a story without having anything, without telling the story, let the scenery tell the story, or evoke or inspire a story, is huge. And when you can do that, it's pretty cool. But like, I've never used the paint before, so I would never do this with. I did it with red ink back in the day. I'll do it with red wash now, but this glistening blood looks so good that on these guys, I think it might be worthwhile.
Yeah, I've had fun with gore and blood. But like you keep referencing science, there is even a science to splatter, blood splatter. Obviously, that's like a whole thing. But I think you can tell. Like, you might not even know what it is about a mini, but you can tell if people paid attention to that. Like, where would the blood actually be? Rather than willy-nilly, which is a little bit what a splatter does.
Well, the great part about these is they have these tears in their clothing and rents in their flesh that you can see.
Yes.
Which allow you to do some pretty cool
rot
stuff.
here and there, and
Yeah. I don't know what happened to old Buford. 1 minute he was talking just fine after that thing bit him, and the next thing I know, he's chasing after us. Was it, there's this great movie, was it Dale and...
Tucker and...
Versus Evil? Dale and Tucker, yeah.
Yeah.
That movie is so hilarious.
Yeah, I was sitting here just like daydreaming about zombies. I have quite the lifelong love affair with them. I'm like, yeah, right. Honestly, like the earliest movie I can remember seeing that wasn't like a kid's movie is Night of the Living Dead, original black and white.
Really?
Yep. My dad had me watching that stuff at a very, very young age, but I love it. I love the entire genre. It's not the zombies themselves that is the genre, really, right? It's the how people deal with how the survivors cope, really. But yeah, I love it. There's something about much scarier to me about humans being the monster, which is why even the Thing is scary, because it's replicating a human. Like, it's anything like that. I just that's what always gets to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not scared about ghosts, demons, things like that. Don't really.
Maybe that's because you haven't seen the right scary ghosts and demons yet.
I mean, I think I have. I've watched a hell of a lot. I'm not saying I dislike them, I just don't find them as scary.
Yeah.
Like, Invasion of the Body Snatcher, anything like that is psychologically much creepier to me. That somebody
could turn on you.
It's not who you know, or they could go from being normal to a zombie in a second. Like, there's any of those kind of ideas really messes me psychologically.
But then what do you think of movies like Shaun of the Dead?
It's amazing. It's hilarious. That's brilliant. Absolutely adore that. I mean, but I feel like that movie worked because it is all hilarious and willy-nilly, but then it gets pretty serious and dark sometimes, and I think that really worked with it.
Stop trying to bite me. He's playing video games with him in the shed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was a really well done movie. I like those guys together. It's their other one that they did right after the Hot Fuzz, I think. No,
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Hot Fuzz was great. So, have you ever jumped sideways with two guns shooting at people? No. Have you ever? He keeps asking him all these different things that he's.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I absolutely love that movie. I saw thing in Hollywood they did of it's in the DVD, I think, where you can see where they went to Hollywood and did a viewing and then answered questions afterwards. And you see where Timothy Dalton goes up on stage afterwards, and the first thing he does is he does this thing with his chin where he's rubbing it, where the thing went through his head in that. And it's hysterical to watch the crowd go, ooh, Let's see here. I just finished my very gory Chaos Magus Dominus and used a ton of blood and gore effects. Yeah, as do I. One of my many guesses. The reason I want the modern zombies is for scratch-made rule set and campaign of my design. Yeah, sure. There's a great D&D 5e world created by Green Ronin Publishing. It's a third-party 5e publisher called The Lost Citadel Role-Playing. And it is basically... there's a city called Redoubt, and it is the last. And everybody else in the world that's left of the world, has flooded into Redoubt as the dead have risen everywhere at once and just basically wiped out the rest of the world for all intents and purposes. So now you have areas of the wilds and all these other things, but things like deer are no more because the zombies have eaten them everywhere that they are, And the city is a megaplex. It's an old former dwarven fortress that was taken over. It's just a great series. And then they have all these great rules for this particular world. Some very unique stuff for that world in terms of undead monsters that haunt the countryside. And just...
Sounds great.
It's a fantastic series. I'm going to be so excited if we run it soon.
Sounds really cool. You should give it a look over, yes.
Give what?
Oh, he said it sounds like great fun. I should give it a look over.
Yeah, definitely do so. We were talking about it about 2-3 weeks ago in the Discord, a whole bunch of us. I picked it up, or had it sent to me, actually. It's really worth it.
What's it called?
It's called The Lost Citadel Role-Playing.
Oh.
You can find it on Green Ronin's publishing page. So. Hey, Yanzum. Glad you're not lurking anymore. Doing a lot of zombies, my friend. Tons of them. I'm going to be undead by the time I get done with these.
Would you want, if you knew you were going to come back as a zombie, would you want to, or would you want your...
No, make my body burn. I don't want to be the bane of everyone else's existence.
Excellent. Were you a fan of The Walking Dead, or are you?
I don't really watch it, to be honest. It's a great comic book series.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I want to venture that much further into it. It
was my favorite show, I'd say, for a while, but I was never gonna walk away. I watched it from the day it debuted, and I was like, in it to the end, and then I was not. I was like, I can't bear this. This has gotten so crappy that I had to just walk away.
So many people you love will die.
Yeah, and the writing got awful. Honestly, it started looking like a 90s television show. Even the frame rate seemed to change and got cheaper. It's crap, and the writing was bad, and the characters all died. And when your main protagonist leaves the show, that's when a show should end. But networks like to make money, so they keep cranking them out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't do it.
Didn't he show up on another show? On another
Rick?
The Walking Dead series? Yeah, didn't Rick show up as he was found and pulled in by a helicopter or something like that?
That's gonna happen. They're actually making a couple movies about what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Since that.
Well, they had a scene in the new Walking Dead show that's coming out as the future,
One of the kids or whatever.
Yeah, the kids and stuff. And I think one of the early scenes is you see Rick falling down into a ditch and them rescuing him.
Yeah.
And they ask, is he an alpha or a beta?
Well, they do that. That's the end of the episode in The Walking Dead that shows that too.
Oh, so what is that? What's the alpha beta thing?
I don't know. I don't know because I stopped watching after that. Honestly, I watched like 2 episodes after Rick left. I'm like, nope. No, so all the characters in The Walking Dead think he's dead, but you as a viewer know he's not because you see that happen. But the little spin-off movies are supposed to be basically what happens to him from that time on. And then within The Walking Dead TV show, Michonne leaves the show to go look for him, so I'm sure there's eventually going to be a tie-in where they all come together because there's characters that have gone on to fear The Walking Dead that after they left. So I like the world they built. I just think that the show isn't good. I just stopped being good. I'm like, I don't want to watch you anymore.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I understand within the comics, Rick is our protagonist, and then eventually it's his son Carl that takes over. Well, the TV show killed Carl.
Yeah.
And removed Rick. So it's like, okay, but the whole point was Rick keeping these people alive and raising his son in the apocalypse to be a good man. And you took it all away. So what is there? Like, I just don't have no drive to watch it anymore.
Yeah. Was that because the kid who played Carl wanted out?
Nope. It was actually it was quite a drama. He even bought a house near. He delayed school and bought a house near where they were filming because he was told that he was going to continue on the show, and then the showrunner was like, "Nah," and killed him. It was like
Wow.
It was a kind of drama. Yeah, it was a big drama. It's kind of lame, but. And the funny thing is, right after that showrunner left the show, so he did all this damage and then left, and somebody had to come in and be like, "Okay, so I think they should just had it been like a nightmare, like that never happened, kind of thing."
Mm-hmm.
There's been multiple weird decisions. Yes, yeah, they've done a lot of dumb stuff. Where sometimes they stick exactly to the comic, and they're like, "We had to do that because it was a really poignant moment in the comics. Like we needed to do the same." But then they'd completely go the other direction other times. They're like, it's because we don't want to do it exactly. They're like, okay, whatever. You're just saying what you want to. It's fine. That's fine.
The audience knows when you're not sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the fan base.
Oh, yeah. Intelligent one. There's people who still think the show is fantastic. Great for them. Good for them. That's awesome. Cool.
Don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
I mean, I'm saying genuinely, if they're still finding enjoyment, awesome. I definitely don't think it's a good show anymore, though. Definitely. It debuted on Halloween. That's like how big of a nerd I am that I remember exactly where I was watching the first episode. Yes.
I think, what is it we did on Halloween? I think we did Call of Cthulhu. I can't remember if we did Call of Cthulhu on Halloween.
Love Halloween. Exactly, different strokes for different folks. Yes.
Well, I mean, you can see similar things as like what happened with it's the one by J.R.R. Martin.
Oh, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, like that just went south.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's trash. It had its moments, but overall, I thought the writing.
Well,
terrible.
they just ended it poorly, you know. I've
Rushed
seen the
it.
same thing over and over again with like the DC universe movies. Like they push the timeline too far forward too fast.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to like the MCU, which did a whole bunch of good stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think the MCU is done. I'm kind of boring. I'm getting bored with it, but I think they're doing it well at the same time.
I'm a big DC fan in terms of the comic books. So when you hear me say something about Marvel being better, that's a painful thing for me.
I would definitely say I'm more Marvel because I'm based solely on the X-Men, who aren't even part of the MCU. So
The
watching the cartoon.
the Batman series, and then like you go from the Joker to Bane, and you're like, what's going on here?
Oh, you didn't like that, huh?
No, I did not. I mean, I liked the way they did Bane, but I did not like...
I mean, you're talking about my Tom Hardy. You better be careful. I might not come back on your
Tom
show.
Hardy's a great actor, and he did a great job as Bane. Don't misunderstand me, but...
That's when I didn't even care who he was before that. I was like, what is this weird character?
Yeah. However, from a storyline perspective, to go straight from the Joker to... I mean, Bane, like, is 30 years later, at least in the whole Bat history, and you skipped so many different other possibilities you could have gone in. Regardless of Heath Ledger making bad personal life decisions.
Yeah. Is he your favorite Joker? Do you think he's the best Joker?
Heath Ledger?
Movie Joker, because everyone was like, Mark Hamill. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about cartoons.
Well, I do love Mark Hamill's version of voiceover of the Joker. He did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
So I think he did an amazing job as the Joker. I don't like how they made him like with these scars on his mouth, because they never explain that, and no one else knows what the hell that's from, because that's not on the Joker anywhere else, right? And then but he, the way they portrayed the Joker as this insane genius and psychotic killer was fantastic. The parlance between the Joker and Batman was fantastic. I think that the person who also did a great job as the Joker is the guy who did the Suicide Squad Joker.
Oh, yeah,
I don't like that they tatted him up.
Right.
But I think he did a good job as a Joker. And then, believe it or not, the best one I saw was this fan-made Kickstarter with real actors in it. And they have this guy who plays the Joker. And most of the story is... I mean, there's parts of the story, but most of the story is Batman at the insane asylum having a talk with the Joker to get some information out of him, but the Joker doesn't realize it at the time because the Joker thinks he's the one in control of the conversation. And the guy playing the Joker there does a killer job, and they reference so many things from the comic books. They reference The Killing Joke, where Barbara Gordon gets shot. They reference the Oracle, who is Barbara Gordon later. They reference how Robin died, because the Joker talks in extreme detail about how he beat him to death and how his last words were. And, all these things to try to get Batman to lose his mind and kill him. And all sorts of stuff. And the Batman actually lets him play right into his hands. So, but the guy who does that looks like the fucking Joker from the comic books. Gosh, I gotta find it now.
What did you think of Joker?
Joker?
The movie, yeah. With Joaquin Phoenix?
I thought it was a good concept, but it's not the Joker that I grew up with. I think it's a great alternative explanation.
I mean, it was just tackling mental health and the way our society deals with it was really more the drive behind that story, I think.
Yeah, so the Joker that I grew up with was driven mad after he fell into the chemical vat.
Yeah.
At the time, he was actually, like, if you go to the original legend, he was just a down-on-his-luck guy trying to make a buck, and he was trying to get out of all these debts he had riled up, and he was just a father. He was trying to make sure he took care of his wife. It was during the Depression. It was very bad. So the mob kept hiring guys to play this bad guy in all these crimes they took part, called the Red Hood, and he was actually the distraction, is to run around and be the Red Hood. And in the course of that, he was the unlucky guy who fell into the chemical vat that changed his skin color and his hair color, and made him crazy man strong and all the stuff that is the Joker, right? Because he's actually very strong. He's not invulnerable. He doesn't have superpowers. He's just kind of amped up all the time, right? But it also drove him mad. The pain, everything else with it. So to see a guy who's actually mentally ill become the Joker is kind of a neat twist. The whole mother telling him that Bruce Wayne's father was his real father.
Yeah.
Completely weird. It just kind of brings things full circle. It reminds you that you're dealing with something that will be the future Batman. They didn't go into Joe Chill, who's the guy who shoots his parents. Yeah. They just missed some things, but they did a whole lot of other things too. They certainly captured the Joker's ability to do things to just brutally, hurt and kill people after a certain point when he snaps.
Yeah, again, I don't really think it was intended as a Batman story. It was just a standalone. It's not supposed to be canon in any way or be a series.
Well, see, that's the problem. People want their canon. That's what caused the debacle with all the first Batman movies that came out after a while. After the Keaton ones, people started getting pissed. And when they got to the ones with Jason Bales, before they put those movies out, the audience literally stopped him, and he was taking questions, and the questions were like, "How do we know this movie's not going to suck like the rest?" It was a very, very somewhat hostile crowd that had seen their Batman ruined by this campy 60s style movie theory. At least that's what I remember witnessing at the time.
See, so on that note, we didn't talk about Nicholson. I thought he was really fun, campy.
Nicholson was good. I think Nicholson did a great job as I
liked Burton back then, though.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholson, it's kind of hard to say anything bad about anything Nicholson's done. And mind you, outside of the 50s TV show, nobody had really done Joker really well up until that point, so.
I think maybe I'm a little partial to this growing up with him. He's like my first Batman, or my first Joker.
I tell you what, I didn't think Michael Keaton was going to be a good Batman, and then I saw him in it and went, dang, Michael Keaton did a really good Batman.
He's excellent.
Apparently he's showing up in the TV shows too.
Oh?
Yeah, they kind of explain him as a alternate Earth Batman.
I don't remember.
There's a scene with him in an exosuit. Have you not seen that?
No.
Oh. Let's see. We'll have to get you some pictures because it's pretty cool.
I am going to have to say goodbye soon because I'm getting very, very hungry.
Yep, we're about done. So, guys, thank you so much for coming out. It's now 8 o'clock. We're wrapping up the stream.
Oh, that time. Oh, well, hey, good timing.
Yeah. And I appreciate you coming out. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at dark.elf.girl, which is where I spend most of my time, kind of my portfolio. And then also on Twitch at dark_elf_girl. Yeah. And I stream on Wednesdays and Saturdays and sometimes in between that.
Definitely give her a follow. She's got some great stuff out there. I've been really excitedly seeing some of the cool stuff she's put out. That's why we invited her onto the show. And would you like to come back sometime, maybe?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll just make you a regular visitor anytime you want to be here.
Awesome.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. Be sure and check out our Discord. We have all sorts of cool stuff and conversations on TTRPGs, board games, miniatures. You nerd out, you're gonna see it. Thank you for following Zombie Pirate Gaming, and definitely also check out Dark Elf Girl. She is amazing, and I can't wait to see more of her work on Instagram. Take care, everybody.